everyone, and welcome back to episode number 63 of the Couch on Ice podcast. Lots of stuff actually happening. We got some games to talk about. We got so massive trade with Pittsburgh. Some more trade talk later on about the deadline. But before we get
the first domino to fall.
The first domino to fall. Yeah. We got some GM talk too. I got a little bit more Oilers talk. I know that's what everyone's talking about, but we kind of have to bring up Tippett and Koskinen a little bit. But before we get into all the hockey news, let's introduce the boys. I'll throw it over. You just heard Chase, but I'll throw it over to Jordan. What have you been up to, Jordan?
Not too much. I've just been kind of relaxing.
Kicking back, having a blast.
Yep.
Can't complain.
Holidays are over.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. No priorities or anything. And still trying to plan a Christmas with some of my family. It's just not happening because we're all not on the same page, which is always how it is. It's like, oh, well, this weekend's too cold. Let's not do it this weekend. It's like, okay, well, I don't think it's going to get too much warmer, but to each their own, I guess. It makes sense. Oh my God, dude, it is fucking cold here. Like, I'm so jealous of you right now, Jordan. Like, every time I look outside, I want to bitch slap you for being how cold it is here. Like, I'm so jealous.
+3 at the moment, supposed to go to +10 today.
Yeah, fuck you. Like, that's all I gotta say.
Not too shabby.
Dude, it was so cold here that Justice came in to park, and I had to come help him dig him out to move his car 2 feet forward into his damn parking spot.
That's hilarious.
That's how much snow we've had. There was so much snow in Martinsville. I don't know if it's this bad for like 10 minutes south there, Chase, for you, but in Martinsville, people's lawns have snow so high, they're as high as their vehicle and their lifted trucks. Like, that's how much snow we got in Martinsville. It's awful.
You must have actual good snow removal.
Yeah, we got pretty decent snow removal. Plus, everyone here is up at gotta do 5 a.m. clean my driveway, 6 a.m. CrossFit. So
nice.
We joke around that we kind of moved into a cult because everyone here is the same and nice, the same type of people. We're a young family that loves CrossFit. And we say thank you after everything. That's
nice.
The most Canadian cult you can ever imagine. If you threw in a ton of beer in it, it is the most Canadian cult I've ever witnessed in my life. Oh, sorry there, bud. I'll give you a free brewski. Is how it feels. So yeah, no, that's why there's so much fucking snow, good snow removal, because everyone's out at 5 a.m. doing it. So crazy people.
That's what you need.
Went on a little bit of a rant of Martinsville, but what about you, Chase? What did you get up to? Did you have to shovel snow at 5 a.m.?
Well, I had to shovel snow because it was just so much snow. And I didn't want to, but it was cold. It did.
So cold.
Yeah, man. Just looking at the temperature saying -37 is just holy shit. Just 2 or 3 degrees away from feeling -50.
That's ridiculous. That's hell. That's hell.
It's not bad when you're in all reality, you can go do stuff, but you can't really do anything for very long. And you're bundled up and all.
Not we were really allowed to do stuff anyways, even if it was nice.
Yeah, it was 5 minutes into shuffling and my fingers were already cold.
Yeah.
So I had frostbite on my finger.
Yeah, man.
And
so
man, I've been over for 10 minutes. What are you talking about?
Barely been outside. I just opened my door. Why are my fingers freezing off? Yeah, it's awful. So Jordan, you're the fucking lucky one. When do you come back to Saskatchewan?
Early February.
Early February? Oh, so you're pretty much gonna miss all of it anyways. You might get the tail end of a crappy winter. Other than that, you're nice.
So.
Oh, lucky bastard. Well, boys, should we jump into some hockey?
Yeah.
And not cold ass winter that's gonna last for far too long. Cool. Let's talk about some games. Do you guys have any games you want to start off with? Jordan, I'll throw it to you first. Did you have any games past few days you watched to bring up?
There was one.
What do you got for us?
I thoroughly enjoyed, actually, the Anaheim and the Philly
Flyers game. Troy Terry just dynamite.
Troy Terry, Scary Terry was
Scary
lighting
Terry.
it up.
That's a fucking name for him. Holy, this kid is ridiculous.
Yeah,
love Terry.
Go on. Gibson looked very good as well. He's been sharp since his return of injury.
I have not seen him uncalm like this year. Like, he looks dialed.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, he was dialed in this game. Yeah. Especially the third, he was locked down.
Yeah, this team isn't where it is even close without John Gibson. Like, I think we kind of forgot about him for a couple of years there because he was constantly injured. Anaheim was not good enough even with an elite goaltender to really make any noise. It was just kind of swept under the rug, it seemed. But it makes you remember before, when the tail end of the Ducks, how good Gibson was when he came in after they traded away Anderson and Jonas Hiller wasn't there anymore. Like, they went through a couple of really solid goaltenders, and he's been there through thick and we know thin.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
yeah, I'm happy they never traded him randomly.
Yeah,
you know,
I wondered.
I hated that several years there. I guess it was the last couple of years. Like, oh, feel bad for this guy. Got him out of there. And like, geez, like,
I get it for
guys
him,
like
though.
guy's not like 34. Like,
no,
come on.
But there is. As a goalie, it's not fun to lose because people don't look at you the same. How many goalies probably don't?
They're just saying that because they're mad. Probably
Oilers
fans don't have a goalie.
Well, yeah, but like, we know sports and the world is run by dumb media. Like, the dumb media story is out there with Gibson. Like, clearly wasn't the right move, and we're seeing it today, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But
it's actually amazing how much people just kind of push things like that. They're just like, oh, let's prod this and see if we can make it happen.
I mean, we're guilty for it too, just trying to create an interesting talking point. Like, that's just what you do in media, and then you criticize people who are like, oh, that was a hot take, what an idiot. Like, yeah, it was kind of a hot take, so the idea, I know it was dumb, but that if it happened, you look like a genius, so... sorry, Jordan.
A genie in a bottle.
A genie in a bottle. But Jordan, go back on Anaheim, Philly.
No, I mean, I just came to the conclusion that Terry is the Costco version of McDavid.
The Costco McDavid. Interesting.
Costco McDavid. Troy
wow,
Terry.
That's a comparison. Yeah, no, that's Troy Terry's fucking unbelievable.
He just looks so good in this team.
He looks so good. He looks better than Zegras right now. Like, like this year, he's looked better than Zegras, and we've been raving about Zegras all year. Everyone has. Like, I think I've said it. There's a couple guys this year that just stepped up and really became stars in the league. Troy Terry, Jordan Kyrou, who I'll get into in a bit too. But like, yeah, just super, super impressed with this guy. And what did you think of their defense, Jordan? Anaheim's just always in a rush, just constantly skating, hey?
It's exciting to watch.
They're a very exciting team to watch, and it's just the fast pace they play at it's eye-catching. Like, if you've never really been into hockey and can't find a team that you're into and you want to give it another go and don't have like a true favorite team, Anaheim. Anaheim is a team you go watch because you're always going to be enjoyed watching them. While this, at least if they don't make a coaching change where they go to a defensive-minded coach, but currently, this is an exciting team to watch. Right, they're young. They've got all the right pieces in all the right places. So
yeah, and their young guys are showing out.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's kind of flip tides to the other team there, and why don't you give us a little take on Philly's game?
I didn't see much. That's
that's really the story of their season, man.
It was a bad game. It wasn't awful. Like, it wasn't like a blowout or anything, although the score could tell you otherwise. But it wasn't a good game from Philadelphia.
For sure. How was Carter Hart in the game?
Okay.
It's okay. Yeah. I mean, like, I don't really blame him anymore. Like, last year he was bad.
Yeah,
I think we can
last year he
all
was
sit here and agree that like Carter Hart was probably the worst starting goalie in the NHL last year. Which happens. Everyone has a bad year. He was young.
or Bobrovsky.
Yeah. Or Martin Jones at San Jose was real bad too. But no, anyways, but this year he's been great. He's been very good.
He's been
A lot better. He's a starting goalie, that's for sure. But this team just
they look like washed.
They look lost too. Washed, lost, like name it. Any word. Chase, what do you got on Philly as well? Can you kind of give us more of a breakdown?
Man, I can't wait to see these guys just fall apart. It's great. Love it. Love it.
So, I do too, being a Pens fan.
I've just been waiting for years for one of these Metro teams to fall off. So
I didn't think it would be Philly because Philly was on the up and the other teams were on the down, like Washington, Pittsburgh,
Well, I would this team is one of those teams that almost got me. I almost put them first.
I almost believed them.
The Metro because just the moves. It seemed like it would work so well. Like this team's so good. When
on
they're going,
paper,
there's no beating this team.
On paper, I don't see a hole on this team. I honestly, I look at Chuck Fletcher and I'm like, I don't really think you fucked up. Every move he made sense. The Risto move was a reach, and that was more of a test to how bad they played last year, I think, rather than just trying to upgrade the team. I think it was a panic buy,
but that's been the problem with that team is that they seem to do that extra thing that just doesn't seem to work out. Or there is always that one thing that's just never there.
Yeah.
So you're either not pushing you're a super good team all regular season, get to the playoffs, lose out, and
now
you just don't have that extra thing to push you out, or the next year that thing just isn't even there at all,
right?
And you can't even make the playoffs. It's like a weird curse or something like that. But
I have a question.
So happy to see this trend finally stop for this team.
True.
This whole flipping back and forth.
Absolutely.
This is dumb.
It was ridiculous.
Happy that they're going to miss the playoffs for once. And in all reality, out of the years that are going on, anybody can make the playoffs. I fully agree with that because of what's been going on, the breaks that are needed, the amount of games we're going to have to play, the amount of cases that go on when we play, you're missing
who you're playing.
Guys.
You may be playing an AHL goalie. That. It's so uncertain.
To say any team can't win their last 10 games or something like that straight, or 15, it's not out of the question.
No.
Or be really insanely good for 20 games. It's not out of the question in a year like this. The way this is going.
No kidding. I agree.
Be surprised about anything, but yeah, definitely surprised how bad they are at the moment. You guys are saying, they're not playing terrible. They're not just going on the ice and they're just we're gonna lose this game.
They look a little unmotivated.
They look a little unmotivated.
I have a question, and this is a question. This isn't a theory. This isn't backed up by anything other than what I'm seeing on the ice. Does this team need a leadership change? Because they have a good enough team, and we say motivation. There's two things that can change motivation in players, and it's leadership change or coaching change. Well, they've already made the coaching change, and things haven't really gotten better. Is it time to move off of literally move on from Giroux and give a new letter out? I don't know. Is that what's needed? A new captain? I know that's drastic, but.
Well, no, you're not wrong though, right?
They're kind of in no man's land.
The leadership and the mood.
Yeah,
I totally
great example. Look at Vancouver. Vancouver were not happy. They changed their coach, and now look how happy they are.
Absolutely. That's also kind of what scares me is Vancouver is there's a success story there, and that's awesome for Vancouver. But you are not Vancouver. Vancouver had real expectations this year. Philly had flip-flop expectations. Half people said they were going to be good. The other half said they were going to be garbage. Right? There wasn't many Vancouver people out there, or people in hockey that looked at Vancouver and said, you know what? They're a bottom 10 team. I don't think one person said that in the media. So I think it's just a different scenario. Again, another team. I think I brought it up last podcast. I don't know what to do with this team. Chuck Fletcher is in a world of hell because he's done everything right, but it's not working.
Yeah, hey, it's pretty wild. I fully agree with you, man. Like, I think they do need a little change because it's been a long time. Kind of think of with like
some of these guys have been here for
the
a long
Rangers.
time.
There, they had a lot of guys that were there for a while, and they just kind of never pushed them over the edge. At least they had playoffs every year,
right?
But these guys are not there, so like obviously this isn't working. You know, like you're not even. Like those guys aren't the foundation enough to keep you in the hunt all the time, or I guess maybe they are only that.
Right.
And it seems like guys like Fairby were needed years ago when he showed up, and like that sort of stuff. Hey, so
yeah, I agree with that.
I
love
love
Joel
this team's
Farabee
prospect pool and stuff. Like I would not
They're
do
young
too
guys.
much crazy stuff. Like I said, we've talked about this before. I'd be trading Giroux and Risto. Get his whatever first round picks
if you
can
can
back
get
this year,
something back for JVR,
hang
I would
out,
do
man.
that too.
Don't worry about free agency. Free agency is only going to screw you. Like these young guys are going to help you. When Forrester and Ratcliffe and there's several, and Morgan Frost and these guys really start making impacts, that's going to change the team.
Yeah,
that's what you wait for.
I don't think it's
like,
their forward group that needs work though. At all. Like I don't think you get picks.
They've been trying to fix that D forever.
That D needs work in big ways. Like I think you prioritize that defense in every facet, whether it's you looking for
but I'm thinking the same
trades, draft picks, like focusing draft picks. I'm not saying like, oh, it's the 4th round, we don't have a D man, we should take a shot on D. Like no, whatever first round pick you can get this year, you spend it on the best available D man. If you have to trade down, you trade down and get the best D-man at a better cost. Like that's where I lead this team.
That's not a bad idea. Exactly. They try to get an actual highly touted D-man.
Ideally,
and the way they're
right-handed
going, they're probably getting into that scenario with where they're gonna land here. And like I kind of feel the same way with the defense too. Like Cam York's there. Wait for him. See if this guy can make an impact for you. And exactly. Trade your guys away. Honestly, as
know what they should
do? Because there's no point of keeping these guys. It's just, do you want to write the season off or not?
You get what you can for Risto and for Giroux, and I say you try and snag a top 10, top 15 pick, and whoever's available at the best chance, you take Nemec or Jurčić. Those are two right-handed, highly touted defensemen in the NHL that you put your all your eggs in that and one of those guys for this year. Yeah, you trade if you're only getting 2 seconds from Giroux and Risto, which I don't think is the case, but let's just hypothetically say you only get 2. If you have to package your own second with it to get a first round pick in the top 10, you do it. Like you need a direction with this team. You cannot be mediocre or else you're gonna be the 2000s Montreal Canadiens. Always in the playoffs, but don't fucking do anything. Because all they have is Carey Price. And I'm scared. Philly's heading that direction with Carter Hart. A couple of years. So I say you dive into the draft and do a small retool. See what these young guys can do in another year, like Chase said there.
Yeah, exactly. Like, don't jump the gun here. Like, Risto was definitely got to go, but like you just realize that was not a great trade and kind of just move on and learn from that. Don't do that again. If that's not a lesson to just not do that again for the next couple of years, then
I'll back up. I will still back up Chuck Fletcher for what he did because at the time it made complete sense. You go for broke. His job's on the line, especially now. You go for broke to keep your job. Like it was the wrong decision, but what GM makes 100% of the right decisions. So I don't want to give him like too much slack because it wasn't like we need a right-handed top 4 D-man. Let's get Ryan Reeves. Like it's okay, New York. I mean, I guess it's working, but like it's you just don't do that. At least he upgraded to position of need. It just didn't work. And maybe I also wonder if Mike Yeo is an NHL coach, honestly. I don't really
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan.
I'm not the biggest. I think he's.
Man.
You know what though? I think he's an awesome assistant coach. I think he could be an awesome assistant coach in the right place. But I just don't know if he's a head coach, frankly. But yeah. Are we good to move off of Philly? I think we've talked about them enough to satisfy their fans. Chase, do you have any games you'd like to talk about from the past 2 days here?
Oh, geez. Mention the Wings lighting up the Sharks.
Yeah, you want to talk about the shorthandedness of Bertuzzi and such, or?
Oh yeah, right. That was
pretty epic.
That was pretty cool. It's kind of funny because
can we also talk about? Sorry to cut you off here, but we'll also have to bring up how James Reimer, since play has resumed, has been the worst goalie in the NHL. So, but anyways, go on with the Wings.
Really?
Wow. I think so, because in every game I've watched him in, he's let in at least a goal or two that you're like, oh, James. I don't want to harp on him too bad, but since we've come back, he's let in a lot of goals.
Halfway through that game, I was like, so probably should have played that Sasha.
Yeah, man. I thought they were going to. I thought how he played against Pittsburgh, you should have played him.
I thought they were.
I would have played him. You're San Jose. You got no direction. You're not going to be a playoff team. Give the kid a chance who's hot. Give the hot glove a chance. You never know. They don't know who their goalie of the future is. Binnington came out of nowhere for St. Louis. Why can't that happen with Sachenko?
Yeah, no doubt.
Anyways, kind of cutting you off there on tangent San Jose, which we'll flip back to San Jose. Why don't you give us your Red Wings preview of the game and any highlights, lowlights, whatever the case is. Chase.
Well, we scored 2 short-handed goals. So
in the same cool. PK too, hey? Wasn't it?
Yeah, the same PK. It was 16, 17 seconds apart or something like that. It was the first PK goal we've scored in 100 games or something.
That's
dumb
insane.
Like that.
You didn't score a PK goal all last year?
Well, it doesn't even make any sense.
Well, I guess
2
50,
years,
yeah, past 2 years. 2 half years, almost. Yeah. That's insane.
So a year last year and then a little bit of last year.
I forgot how bad the Wings were already.
Yeah, man, those 2 years, we were crazy.
2-3 years, you guys were the worst.
That 1 year, we let in the most goals I've ever seen. It was almost 300 goals in that year. And the next year, I don't think we scored any goals. I think that was the thing.
Yeah.
We literally didn't score any. Just brutal. We were so brutal. But that's what you got to do. Be brutal for a couple of years. Shake it off,
You guys loving life.
Everybody
now.
has to go through it.
I'll actually give you guys a little sneak peek into my future watch since it kind of comes up with the San Jose team because the fall of this San Jose team has begun. They're going to fall off a cliff. All of a sudden, those defensemen are just absolutely useless. They didn't even play Pickles, dog. They're scratching the guy now. Oh boy. All I know is when I realized that after we scored those 2 PK goals, that they were on the PK, that's when I realized.
Yeah.
I was oh shit, this isn't good.
That's bad. That's really bad. If you can't even tell your team is on the PK because the other team's so bad on power play.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie, I wasn't intently watching the game because it's San Jose.
Yeah. I had to intensely watch the game when we played them because I was constantly celebrating after 2 minutes of scoring.
Yeah, no doubt. That was a pretty wild game. The only other thing is there's a little taste of that Lucas Raymond nastiness. Do you see that tip between the legs to send Larkin skating at 90 miles an hour?
Man, those Raymond is something else, and he's pulled something on a Larkin that people wondered if we'd ever see.
I know. Hey, he's there. He actually is that good.
I don't know how Wings fans can come out now and say, "Oh, I wonder if we should trade Larkin."
He's a first-line center, dog.
He is a first-line center if he has elite wingers, and he has elite wingers.
Yeah.
He has Bertuzzi, I think, is probably the best F1 in the NHL. I don't... maybe there's a couple other guys. Jordan's sitting there saying, "What the fuck with Tom Wilson?" So that's very fair argument. Top 5,
but at times, yeah.
High end. I don't know. This year, I have not seen him really slow down that much at all.
Yeah, it hasn't been too much, but there was a couple week period for sure that I remember he didn't do like
absolutely.
Anything,
but I remember a week period this year where Sidney Crosby was pretty dog shit too. Yeah. So like it happens with everyone. I love Tyler Bertuzzi. I think he's the perfect blend to a line that you need. You always need one of those, that type of guy on your first line. And
yeah, buddy.
Oh, it's just I love that line.
He's nasty. Yeah.
And that line is making like $12 million for a top line, like that so far for the next 2 years at least.
Yeah, no, I truly actually do believe now that Larkin is a first line center on a Stanley Cup winning team, but we may need like
if you have a great 2C. Yeah, sure. You definitely need a really good 2C. He's not going to carry you, but he's definitely very good. Is there anyone else on your wings that you're looking at like what a game he had? Is there there's a lot more promise?
Old Pius was having a great game, got a couple goals. I mean Bertuzzi got 2 goals, so
Pius.
So that was old Pius.
Puisuter. I love Puisuter. What do you think of like that signing was perfect, and we talked about how perfect it was in the off season. But like,
yeah, man. Hey, yeah, no, it was.
Why did Chicago give him up?
Like, that's like afford him, I think.
That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Chicago's bad, and they can't afford a $3.2 million player.
Yeah, especially when it came to the actual start of the season, and they were already like, "Yeah, we don't really play Strome."
Yeah, why didn't you trade Strome? Get something for Strome, sign Suter. That simple. I don't get it. Whatever. I mean, Wings fans are just sitting there laughing for how many years you'll have him. I wonder if he's going to be like your guy's long-term third C. Or third, or like maybe sixth forward on the left wing, maybe drive a really strong third line. Like if Veleno can really step up and be a second line center that you guys kind of hope, that would go a very long way for your forward group.
Yeah, no,
very long way.
I just don't know about his future. Like I like him. I do think he'll be a third line.
That's why I said
I just don't know
if he sticks.
Where is he gonna be? Yeah, like.
He might want a lot of money.
It's tough to stick on this team, man. It really is. Like,
yeah, it is. There's probably 4 forwards, 5 forwards that are not like guaranteed, but definitely have a very high chance of staying on this team for a while, and that's about it.
Yeah,
4 or 5 players. That's your top line.
You're adding like Adam Ernie in there. Like,
yeah, I'm adding Ernie and Veleno or something, maybe Zadina. You could argue, but I don't. I wonder if you trade him. I wonder if you get something big for him.
Yeah,
Yzerman could flip him very easily.
Yeah, there was an article or some shit about all the disappointment in Zadina, and like he's in the doghouse.
I'm not disappointed.
He is in the doghouse right now, and
and
with our team, like he's got to step her up. He's not being enough.
I agree with that for sure. I still see it. He's 22 years old. Like people need to cool it. Like look how many guys that are just turning 23 to 24 who are finally just coming in and being awesome.
Yeah.
Like it sometimes takes a minute.
I always thought it was unfair that they just basically threw him on the second line and said,
"Do stuff,
just figure it out,
score."
Like, we're not going to play.
We're the worst scoring team. We're the worst scoring team in the NHL. Score goals.
Line, so fucking figure it out. Yeah, I just didn't like that the whole time.
I mean, I didn't like
why he's not.
I didn't love the idea of the pick at the time. Anyways, picking a winger.
Yeah, didn't we take him instead of like Hughes?
Yeah. Yeah, Hughes was right after, and Hughes made a lot of sense because he's a Michigan boy.
Yeah,
so exactly. Right in your backyard, like that should be your player if you have a pick before he gets picked. Frankly, I understand. Like
Hughes, like it's not like any of them are just a straight offensive player. Or
we haven't seen
a certain style. Like, ooh, these guys don't fit our style.
We didn't see a Hughes play yet, though. Yeah, that's the only argument I'll say is like we hadn't seen a Hughes play real hockey yet because Quinn's the oldest. So
true
that's I understand the skepticism, but I was all in on Quinn Hughes for Detroit when it happened. But
oh well, it was because Zadina fell down, and in all reality, you take goal scoring in this league.
Absolutely,
somebody's possibly projected to score you goals. Yeah,
I just always looked at Zadina, and I always wondered, like, he was kind of a late bloomer in junior, a little bit. Like, is he?
I've never been confident in him being a first line 40-goal scorer. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, and that's what people were listing him as, and I think a top 2 D-man's more valuable to you than a second line 20-goal scorer.
Like 100% go ahead and say that about him, but say he can be at his best.
At his absolute best, but so can how many other players? Joe Veleno. Joe Veleno at his very best can be a first-line center in this league. Like, he's not projected to be that, but at his best, we've seen his talent. He can be that. Like, Larkin, same guy. How long have we been saying he's a second-line center? He's proving right now he's capable of being a first-line center. Like, obviously he's capable, but if you don't surround him with anything but shit, like...
Yeah.
And just expect him to do everything. I don't know.
Another guy I'd like
Eichel.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
Even Eichel.
Another guy I want to bring up is Mr. Rowney. Thank you for the Penguins giving up on him or not giving him a contract. Like, he's a beauty. He's love having just a random right-handed guy. Like, they just threw him on the. They just threw him on like some of these lines. Like, he was playing with Suter and Fabry. I think like they're just kind of swapped him on every once in a while. They like to screw with lines a lot.
Yeah. Know what though? When we got rid of him, he was a -13 playing in our 4th line. So I'm very content that we got rid of Carter. But continue. I know you're joking.
Definitely doesn't make waves or anything like that.
No, God, no.
He's decent. Yeah, no, I just like how he plays. He plays a Red Wing. He's a Red Wing in a sense. That's how he plays.
Right.
It's cool to see. And also the fact that like Blashill's not scared to. If a guy's playing a good game, he'll put you on a line. Like,
right.
And he actually did some things. It's cool.
I think that's why he's still there. Honestly, like I don't think Blashill's a coach for the Red Wings if he's not there just to play guys who are playing good. Like,
exactly.
You just gotta just visualize who.
Yeah, I know people were ripping on him last year for a lot of stuff, and it's just like, well, what do you want me to do? Give this guy a chance? It's like, well, he's had all these chances. He's done absolutely nothing with them. So, like, what's the point of like?
It's hard to blame. It's hard to blame Blashill, but we all know he's not going to last because he's the buffer coach. We all know he's the buffer coach from the rebuild to try and transition them into a real team. And then there's going to be another guy who gets them over the edge of being a competitive playoff team. Right?
Yeah, like he's probably not the Stanley Cup winning coach. Kind of like what's going on in Edmonton. Hey, like the transition of they need a coach that helps the team get going and be good.
We'll get into Tippett and the Oilers in a bit here, but yeah, I know what you're saying.
But yeah, no, it's a good comparison. I don't think he was hired and brought there to win them a Stanley Cup.
Absolutely,
and I don't believe Blashill's.
He's there to weather the storm.
To do it, but
he's there to weather the storm and work with the young guys. Try and figure out for your team who you can build around what you need.
It's going to be interesting to see how he deals with an actual team. Because he didn't deal with actual teams that well. I thought we could have been better when we started falling off there at times, and I didn't really like how I don't know if it was just him, but it could have been just the demise and the fall of the Red Wings. But I know, loving this team. I really almost don't want to get rid of Nemestikov now. I want him to stay around, but I'm really
he's pretty awesome.
What Yzerman does with this team in the next couple of years. Like, is he going to actually make any big splashes?
He'll be patient. Yzerman. He's gonna draft someone in like the 3rd round that becomes a second line elite player. And
if not later.
If not later or better than that. Like, something crazy is gonna happen. You guys have probably drafted him. Know who I think it might be is Jonathan Bergen. I love
Yeah, he's
Jonathan
a second
Bergen.
round.
What if
Man.
he just
We have
comes
so
in
many
next
random
year?
good second round
Yeah,
picks. It's insane.
so
Emil
many
Biro,
randoms.
too, I think, is
Yeah, like
shit.
I love your guys' depth drafting, and that's what Yzerman's known for. And I know it's been debunked a little with looking at Tampa's draft picks, and they've definitely missed on more than they have, but he's hit also on more than most GMs, so I don't know what the argument against it is. So no, I think he'll be patient. He'll draft someone. They'll just be like, oh yeah, I guess this guy's a second line center, just like how today we're like, oh, I guess Larkin could be a first line center. Like it's just gonna miracle happen. Sider and Edvinsson will be the best D pairing known to man, and then you'll win. That's what's gonna happen.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, I'm wondering if we're gonna just be able to grow and continue to grow, or if we're gonna have to like hang out. Our team will get kind of too good or too non-cap compliant, and then we kind of have to do a little screwing around.
You'll have to do that eventually, but every team kind of does.
We'll be able to be good. Yeah, exactly. Like that's the thing.
You might be good before.
Can he create it so we don't have to go through that couple years of fumbling with your roster to make it kind of cap compliant? So then you can definitely push for that Stanley Cup chance for the next several years or whatever. Hey,
once the young guys take full positions on the team,
cool if we just hang out, piss around for the next couple of years, and then we're just super good and set up for the future. You know?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, that's every team, every guy's dream.
It's possible.
Every fan's dream is to be bad for 3-4 years, get high draft picks, hit on every single one of those first round draft picks.
Yeah, definitely. But I think there's an actual chance that happens for us.
Yeah,
I think there's a real chance the Wings can actually.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing.
Push everybody off, but like I honestly think there's a good chance we can.
Arizona can hit 4 in a row and people will be pissed off. Like people are gonna be pissed off because it's not their team. Fuck them, frankly. So I agree, they're gonna be good.
Come up, man. It's all about when contracts come up and
Yzerman doesn't pay people longer than 3 years anyways. So no need to worry about cap.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's what
there might be a few guys
be great as we get better instead of being like, we're gonna have to get rid of this guy because of cap issues or something like that. Like we should.
For sure.
I wish it'd be nice to make those moves before it's a cap issue. You know?
No, absolutely.
That's always the smart.
Know what though? Whatever. I'll say to you, you are the last fan, being a Detroit Red Wings fan, who has to worry about that in the world. Well, Steve Yzerman's your GM. You have the best GM in hockey. Like, there's no two ways about it. Steve Yzerman is the best GM in hockey currently.
Yeah, what an ass for just not being our GM for the last 10 years. Like, what a dick.
Yeah. No, I think you just gotta believe in the system. Like, he's gonna do it right. He's gonna fumble the ball. But what great quarterback doesn't fumble it once or twice or throw an interception, right? Like, shit happens. But all in all, you're going to be a very competitive team very soon for many years to come, even if you fuck up the next 2 years. So, let's move from a team that is more certain about their future to a team that is uncertain. And flip sides to the San Jose Sharks quickly. I know I kind of talked about them last episode, being that I watched the Penguins game they played, but let's dive back into them for another minute or two here. And Chase, what did you see that was, other than the glaringly painful, expensive decor they got? Is there anything else? Is there any saving graces with this San Jose team that you're like, know what? At least they got this.
Dude, Timo Meier has a 22 assists. Like they got.
He has 22 assists. That's
this
crazy.
Guy's awesome. Like
he never has that many assists.
Most underrated.
Wow,
player
he's
in the
over
league
a point per game.
Yeah, dude.
I had
like,
no
this
idea.
Guy's epic as fucking shit. I
zero clue.
Nobody talks about him. I just don't understand. Like people are discounting this team simply just because they had only Hurdle. Like what do you mean they only have Hurdle?
Oh no, Hurdle's just their best player. Like that's
exactly.
Because Hurdle's a center, that helps too.
Yeah, exactly.
And scores.
Meier is like just as important as Hurdle is.
I think he's leading the team in scoring.
Yeah, Hurdle's. Yeah. I think Hurdle has 16 goals.
Yeah, he does. He's leading the team in scoring. Meier. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
Logan
that
Couture
would not surprise me.
And casually, Logan Couture is 29 points in 32 games. Like,
yeah, man,
he's really good too.
Like I said at the start of the year, like went on a rant and just got mad at this team. Like, why are you guys so shitty? Like,
yeah.
You have these 4 guys at the top of your 5 guys, I guess. Like,
it's because they're all in their mid-30s.
Create the best power play, like this is not.
Yeah.
Like, the game's not that fucking different or something, or you're not that slow or whatever. Like, you can still get something done here. Like, no, it's
the defense. This defense is so bad.
Yeah, exactly. I love their forward group because everything's working well. The transition is decent there.
I mean, Barabanov is over a half a point.
Their goaltending.
Yeah, like Barabanov's has 19 points on this team in 29 games. Like, that's not an everyday.
Right behind him. Like, like 2 guys I really thought were gonna make an impact, and they are. Cogs on this team. You always forget he's on this team. I think he. Yeah, so awesome. It's so funny seeing Cogs. I thought he was just retired.
Yeah, no. Well,
I always forget about him.
His contract got terminated or something like that, or he left as a free agent or something like that from Dallas recently. They sent him on waivers and something happened, but this forward group, like you said, it's very good. They got a nice blend of youth, guys at the right age, and then veterans. Yeah. But this defense, in their own end, is this top 3 worst defense in the NHL?
I mean, it's gotta be.
It has to be, you'd think, right? Like, Arizona's probably number 1, but
it's probably in the top
2,
10.
3. Ottawa
probably in the top 10, and then their goaltending's also in that top 10 of not greatness, and that's what makes it look.
It's crazy. Reimer was.
You could be right, man.
Yeah,
like, it could be, and I wish we wouldn't be talking about that.
The craziest thing is Reimer was really good to start the season, and it's just been the past couple, since we kind of took a break for Christmas and came back, he has been the worst goalie in the NHL. I have not seen a game where James Reimer has not let in at least a bad goal or 2 since play has started back up. And I'm not going to sit here and James Reimer's a terrible goalie, take him out of the NHL. He's having a bad couple of weeks, but that doesn't help when you have an already bad defensive-minded defense. So, when Semek is your shutdown guy, oof.
Yeah, exactly.
So... No, I got really not much else on.
It's not there. It is not there. I hate to say it again, but I just didn't understand. Whoever was getting this guy was not.
No, what you do though?
This team, you had Pickles and Burns signed for 10 years.
Yeah.
And you were like, let's add another contract exactly
Carlson,
like this, except worse. I don't understand.
It never made sense. Absolutely. What I will say though with the San Jose team is maybe they can do exactly what you want your team to do, Chase. What if they just chill for a couple of years and they're just a bottom 10 team for 2-3 years? Then they start getting really bad, start trading away and be bottom 3, bottom 5, and then after that maybe they can build team. By then Eklund maybe is 23, 24 and is lighting up the NHL. You got another young rookie coming up. Whoever you drafted, 24, 25.
Let's look at this team like the Flyers. I like thinking about it like that. Trade Couture. He's 30, 32. I guess.
I don't know how you do that as the issue.
You trade him and you hope, or you obviously got to make sure Hurdle and Meyer want to stick around. But
I'd trade him,
Hurdle, and in the next 4 years, this team's going to be super good again. Because
honestly, I trade.
I don't know.
Hurdle.
32 Coutures. That's not bad, man. I thought he was a little older than 32.
Do you know how long his contract is?
Great. See, that's the issue. Hey,
it's still 26, 27. That's 5 more seasons after this.
That's why I'm saying you got to trade him.
Unless you can find another idiot like the Sharks were, nobody takes that contract in my eyes. Yeah. I don't care what team I'm at.
Arizona might take him because they might need somebody to pay. If they're gonna have 900 entry level contracts.
If San Jose retained $2 million, $1 million, $1.5 million, around that, I would consider it. not for 8 million for this long. They have to. They're stuck with the team. Know what you do, and I don't love doing this, but it kind of makes sense with where you are. I think you trade Hurdle. In no scenario do I see the San Jose Sharks being good while Hurdle is still good for the rest of his career. I don't see a timeline where they're a playoff team. Peak.
That's good.
Yeah, I really don't, and that is what makes it hurt to trade Hurdle. It's because he is a perfect Shark. I love Hurdle as a Shark. He might want to be there, and like that's cool. But that's 20 goals.
You can get like 2 first-round picks.
You can get at least a first-round pick and a second, probably. Hey, like you can really clean house with a Hurdle trade and jumpstart your rebuild. And what better time to do it when Shane Wright, Bedard and Michkov are coming up in the next draft, in the draft after this. Like, and if you can somehow get a good player, like the top 15 in this year's draft is awesome. Like everyone, like nobody knows who to pick from after pick. Like I'm pretty sure it's after pick like 3 or 4 to like 15. It's anyone's game. Anyone can be picked. So that's where I think with San Jose, I think you kind of just like chill, trade away who's necessary. Meyer I'd keep. He's 25. I think they'll be good enough in a short enough time period that he will still be a very good top 6 forward and can help them win in the future. But Hurdle just doesn't fit that timeline yet. And Couture makes sense. I like the idea of trading Couture. I like the idea of trading every one of their their top 4 bad contracts, as does most people. But
like
don't see it happening right now.
Sneak that trade.
Yeah, if you can sneak one,
squeeze out with all these other super bad contracts.
It would be cool if you could snag one trade, or if I know this is awful, say I don't mean it, and it's just what helps San Jose is Vlasic gets an injury that is unable to come back from NHL level. And his money can be just dead cap, pretty much, or like LTIR cap. That would be the best thing that can happen to San Jose in the next couple of years. Is Vlasic just decides or gets hurt and doesn't retire to benefit the team?
Yeah,
right. Just hurt enough that he's on LTIR, like Shea Weber will be until he's officially retired. So
no doubt.
That would be kind of nice for them. That's my only direction and all I got for San Jose, though.
Yeah, it is their saving grace is something like that happening.
Something like that, or just a trade. If you can get any of those away, then you can sit back on a nice, comfy chair and know that you did a damn good job as GM. If that's the only trade you make is getting one of those contracts going, I think you can comfortably say you did enough of your job in San Jose to help the rebuild progress. But no, let's move on to the next games. I just want to talk about the Penguins playing the St. Louis Blues, and oh my god, I'm gonna start with St. Louis. I'll start with the start of the game. So first period, Pittsburgh worked St. Louis, like absolutely worked them.
St. Louis will do that. Hey, it's super weird.
Before the game, I was scared,
and it's so strange. Like they will just be like,
They didn't really do much, and Bennington was unbelievable, unfucking believable. Didn't let one in. He's
been pretty gross.
They had 15 shots in the first period. I think St. Louis had 6. Just not a good first period. Pittsburgh all over them. Then the second period happened. Pittsburgh played like ass in that second period. Not like ass, but like just not great. They were a step behind St. Louis the whole time. That Thomas, Kyrou, Tarasenko line.
Damn, hey.
Fuck. I stand by and some what I said on the deadline video about Tarasenko. If you are a GM that needs a top 6 20 goal plus scorer and you haven't looked heavily into Tarasenko, you should be fired. Because if you don't see an elite player, you don't see, like, I can understand a trade, maybe like Doug Armstrong's being really like strict about what he wants, which makes sense. I imagine he wants all of the cap gone, his priority. I I think he's fantastic, Tarasenko. And honestly, I think St. Louis, I'm looking at it a different way, and St. Louis might be stupid to trade him. I know he asked for a trade. He's playing good right now, though. He's playing a lot of minutes. Or not a lot, but enough. Why not keep him? You're primed to go for another cup run with this team, with this core. At least one more, I think you'll see with St. Louis. Whether it's to the conference finals and they lose, whatever.
Yeah,
they're going to go on a bit of a run.
Because, like, beforehand, I was always on the Sanko ain't going nowhere. And then a few weeks ago, I kind of flipped back, and I feel like he might get traded. And just because I heard a rumor about him and the head coach not being too good. But, like, I'm not seeing any of that on the ice, man.
No,
like,
he's
when I'm
legit.
watching these games and seeing this team, like, I don't see no remnants of any bad blood. So when you don't see
I don't see an
like
injured Sanko
on the ice, then I think it doesn't matter. Who cares what's going on the outside of the actual ice surface? When you're actually on the ice and this team looks like a team, do it.
Absolutely. You know? Like, that's where I look at, like, St. Louis, like, if
we
don't know where his mind's at.
Armstrong's just sitting there laughing now because he was like, you guys aren't paying for Sanko? Like, are you serious? I'm not just going to give you Sanko because of this cap hit. Like, I'm not that, like, desperate.
No,
that
absolutely.
Desperate or something like that. So, like, now he can just sit there and laugh and, like, up his price.
Yeah.
Be like, 2 first-round picks. Fuck yourself.
You know? Yeah, if you want him retained, you want him 50% retained, not a hell of a deal. Good. Yeah, 2 first-round picks and a roster player to replace him depth-wise. Yeah, exactly. Like, that's exactly what you asked for. And watching him, I see the same Tarasenko I saw 3-4 years ago. Maybe better. Honestly, I wonder if he's better with how the game's going. Why would he get hurt again, like, super bad? If his shoulder was done properly enough, surgery-wise and recovery-wise, based on how the league is with limited hitting, fighting, and all this such, why would he get hurt bad enough again where he's not a top threat on, at minimum, a power play and second line? Very bare minimum in the NHL.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he walked our defense twice, and they scored off of it because he walked Dumoulin, our best defenseman, in our, like, defensive defenseman, I'm saying. Like, come on. I don't know why people are freaking on Sanko. I think he's great. This whole team is awesome. I tried to ISO cam that Scott Prunovich, and he
made a dirty, like, pass off the board.
He's a really smart player. He's a very smart player.
That's nice.
But I'm not going to say he's an NHL D-man right now, but that's it currently. That's all you're asking for. It's his rookie year. Like, I'm not, like, going to sit here and pretend he should be Erik Karlsson at 23 years old, but he needs a little bit of work. He could definitely use some muscle a little bit more. He's pretty small, though. Like, he's 5'9". He's 170 pounds. It would be nice to see a little more size because some of those big checking forwards kind of strip him pretty easily. But other than that, I thought he was pretty good. This defense kind of shocks me, St. Louis, because on paper, I'm like, this doesn't work. And then I watch him play, I'm like, oh, it does work. Like, Krug and Falk playing together is, like, baffling to me. Having 2 offensive puck-moving guys just play so good together is weird. And then Parayko and Nico Mikkola is the biggest defense pair, like, ever.
Right, what a shutdown line.
Yeah, like, I don't hate that at all. I love Parayko. Like, it's a good team. Bennington was dominant all game. But, no, love this team. This, like I said, I think they're poised for a cup run. Jumping over to Pittsburgh, though, wow. Evan Rodriguez, man, I can't say enough good things about him right now. He looks terrifying for other teams out there. He is flying out there. Like, he's faster than everyone. It seemingly looks like he's faster than everyone, turning the right direction every time, picking the corner perfectly. Like, he just can't really do wrong right now. And I wonder how it's going to do when Malkin comes back. I'm a little nervous for him to come back slightly in a way. Just to see how the chemistry shakes with the team. But everyone on this Pittsburgh team, I I absolutely love everyone. Teddy Bluger blocked a shot with his face yesterday. Like, if he is not a Penguin for life, I will be thoroughly upset. I don't care what you pay him. He is everything to our team right now that isn't, like, on the billboard of the team, right? Like, if we want to keep being competitive, Teddy Bluger is the best player on our team for that. So I
no doubt. Can't get rid of him.
Can't. Like, I genuinely cannot stress enough how much I would never get rid of Teddy Bluger. I wish we had signed him on a longer deal at more money. Crazy enough. So our defense could use a little bit of work, and that's where I'm hoping Jordan's leaning towards with the trade. Is maybe a D-man. I would be totally okay with getting a D-man at some point. I don't know who I would take off is the issue. Ideally Matheson, but that's a lot of money. Or Ruidal, but like I said, I don't know. But let's get into the problem of Pittsburgh really quick. And Tristan Jarry is fantastic. But Casey DeSmith is...
Change the goalie, you win the game.
Change the goalie, we won the game. Literally what happened. We were awful. Hilarious. We come back, it's 2-1. We're like, yeah, we got momentum. We're coming back. Brian Rush scores. And then 5 seconds later, Colton Parayko snipes one on him. The 6'5", 6'6" D-man snipes one on DeSmith. I was so pissed. I was screaming at my TV, calling him a bum, all the bad things in the book, and I don't mean it just as a hockey player. Please, I'm begging you, Ron Hextall, get a backup goalie and we might be able to win. I will stand here until we get a backup goalie. We will not win another series until Jarry is a proper backup goalie. I'm saying
like that was such a clear,
it's obvious now. He has not been good enough all year. He's had 2 games where I'm like, you were good enough to be a backup.
Like it was a good goal. Like it was a nice goal.
It was a great shot.
Screened and stuff.
He was screened, but
and stuff like that.
You can't deflate the team though.
He's like, we're gonna fucking lose this game if I keep this goalie, and if I change the goalie, I bet we win.
Yeah,
and it actually happened.
And it worked.
Like, yeah, he probably instantly went to Burke and Hexy and was like, dude, like, let's just get someone else. Like, obviously, like, I just like literally looked around and said, you know what? Let's see if I put Jarry in if we just win this game.
Honestly, I will trade with San Jose today for Sachenko for him. Like the way he played, I would rather an inexperienced goalie than DeSmith right now. I'm so disappointed.
The possibility and the
of being good
of a good game. It's like, oh man, yeah, let's use that.
Like
bring him in and be like, buddy, you played so good. I'm leaving you.
Like,
get in there.
I'm just so disappointed all the time when he's in. And for 2 games in a row, we played DeSmith, and we couldn't trust him in either. And the one of the games was against San Jose, where we scored 8 goals, and we almost lost. We almost lost the game where we scored 8 fucking goals. Because DeSmith was in net. Like, we change our goalie, and Jarry doesn't let one in and robs them 3 times. Like, it's just painful. Like, I'm envious of you, Jordan. I'm envious that you have 2 goalies. Like, you have both of your goalies you can 100% trust right now.
Yep.
Feels good. I would have given up a second for Vanacek. Are you fucking kidding me? Like,
yeah, exactly.
That's what's crazy about it.
One of the dumbest moves I've ever seen.
Yeah, so I just had to say that. Now, I got one more thing, because I feel like if I don't talk about it, people are going to be pissed off and call me a biased Pens fan. Probably should talk about the elephant in the game, I guess. The Pitt Crosby goal that people are saying is a goaltender interference, and then St. Louis challenging, and then Rodriguez scoring on the power play to get the lead. The reason St. Louis lost that game is that challenge. Now, was it a penalty? Is what I bet a lot of people are asking. If you look at the rule book, it is not. Crosby was outside the blue paint completely. Binnington shoved his glove in front of Crosby while he was skating in front. Crosby bumped it. but it looked more like Binnington. He was out of the crease. Like, that's the rules. He didn't disrupt Binnington while Binnington was in the crease, and he didn't hit him on purpose. It's not goalie interference. It was a good goal. Is that fair to say? Do you guys think I'm being biased based on the goal?
No,
yeah. Like, it was a clean goal. Frankly, I understand the frustration because it's that damn close. And look, if that happened on us, I would be pissed too. But that's just the rules. Like, I don't know how else to say it. Like, that it's in. I read the rule book yesterday. The line that said, and it said, if you do not disrupt a goal, if you disrupt a goalie in the crease, it is goaltender interference. Specifically, it says in the crease, in the blue paint. So it was a good goal. We took advantage of it. Doesn't discredit anything about St. Louis, but it was just a rough night for them because of making that decision to challenge, right? So,
and it happens, right?
And it happens all the time. That's why they made the rule if you challenge, it's a penalty. There's risk involved, and they knew the risks didn't go their way. Pittsburgh got the win. I'm stoked. We got 9 wins in a row. As soon as we get backup goalie, I'm all in on this team for the playoffs. All in. So.
Yeah, hey, I might have to go back to my early season predictions and put them back in the top 10. I think I have 9th overall in the league. Like,
the way they're playing, man, fucking
great,
awesome, absolutely.
Got that Casper Bjorkvist.
Yeah,
not bad.
Yeah, got his first goal the other night too in San Jose, which is dope.
Yeah.
And while we're on Pittsburgh talk, we might as well talk about the trade that happened. And I'll give you my thoughts.
Do you have the bomb? Do you have like a bomb to?
Yeah, I know.
I'll make the sound effect.
Okay, here you go. An absolute bomb of a trade drop from Pittsburgh and Chicago.
It's actually a super smart trade for.
Yeah, it's an interesting trade. I got a couple different ways to look at it. Chicago trades Alex Nylander to the Pittsburgh Penguins in exchange for Sam Lafferty. Who is better today? Sam Lafferty, who has higher, higher.
They made the move. They're like, oh, we need somebody to play right now.
Yeah, and he's a center. Honestly, I've always looked at Sam Lafferty and said, why haven't you stuck in the lineup? And
I agree. Yep,
he will be an NHL player, Sam Lafferty. I don't know if he's more than a fourth liner or third line checking guy, but like, I think he will be an NHLer and an effective one at that. I think he's smart.
I'd be playing him over that Simon.
Yeah,
I'm not a. It seems like they play Simon more than him, and I don't know why. I'm not
Simon,
that big of a Simon fan.
Simone, yeah.
Simone. Sorry, he's French.
Simone, I think Lafferty's better than him too, but Simone is just one of those players. He's a Swiss Army knife that can kind of do anything, right? Yeah. He can score.
Might be able to
score a really nice goal. There's the odd time where he'll catch a D-man off guard because he's so quick and small. So I understand it, but moving to Alex,
with guys like that, to me, guys like that, let them just be awesome.
Yeah,
and be an awesome AHL player, getting mad.
An amazing AHL player and such a good depth NHL player is what those guys are. The reasoning we got rid of Lafferty makes sense. We could definitely use some wing help on our team scoring in the future. And this is kind of a...
And Brian Boyle. You can now keep Brian Boyle.
Yeah, we can keep Brian Boyle. I actually kind of want to keep him and extend him this year as our 13th forward. I think he would
Can't say no to that smile.
No, he is awesome. He's a heartbeat on the team. But this trade is strictly high risk, high reward. I know exactly the thought process through it, and I actually kind of agree with it. I love Sam Lafferty, but you take the high-end skill over the sure fourth liner sometimes, especially when you have Crosby and Malkin. If Alex Nylander is anything like his dad or brother, he's William's brother, by the way, and we've seen it. I thought this guy was going to be a legit player in the NHL. I'm pretty sure he was a 6th overall pick or something like that. He was 8th overall by Buffalo in 2016. He's 23. He's never really gotten that great of a shake, but again, not that surprised. He's played 65 games for Chicago, 26 points, -2. I think it's just if he can play with Carter, Malkin, or Crosby in a year or two and just find chemistry, we may have gotten an elite player for free. That's the thought process through it. Now, I say high reward. The risk is very high because this guy has not shown shit all in his career to prove should be an NHL player.
Exactly. Hey, it's scary.
It's
scary
the potential.
But
it's the
potential.
You
have the potential. You have a bunch of guys.
And we didn't give up enough to be upset if he doesn't hit. So
yeah, exactly. Like you got the time. You may need some random guy to just pull up his pants in a couple years when you run into cap issues or you don't have a Crosby or
maybe even next year.
Like that,
it could be as simple as something like it, that he comes in next year and fits with Jeff Carter and he scores 15 goals on the third line. Like that would be fantastic.
See, like, is that what they're going for here?
That'd be cool.
Are they going for a third line spot? Like I wonder what their plan is with him.
If they do, they can trade Zucker.
That top 6, and they're going to trade like a Kapanen and a Rust away because they actually believe in him in the next couple of years.
Yep.
But yeah,
I agree.
I'm interested. I like the move for Pittsburgh. It's a smart move. Like good teams should be always
doing these.
That has no value or something like that.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I was thinking about that. What if a team, and not even just saying the Penguins, just any team that's good and they have the high-end talent. So I'm looking at Edmonton right now with McDavid, Draisaitl. I'm looking at, obviously, Pittsburgh with Crosby. You're looking at Toronto with Matthews, like Colorado, McKinnon. These guys are top-end centers going for broke on these high-risk, high-reward players. Because if only one of them hits out of 5 years of doing it with your first round pick, second round pick that you have, then that's all you need. Another player to play with Nathan McKinnon and score 20 goals, that's a step closer to a cup, right? It's always baffled me why teams didn't do this a little bit more. Now, I am going to miss Sam Lafferty a little bit. But at the end of the day...
Yeah, Lafferty was a good Penguin. Was he right-handed, dog?
He was right-handed, I believe.
Sad to see him go.
He is right-handed center. So that's the only downside of it. He's right-handed, but take the high-end skills.
You guys really don't seem to. I guess you got Carter for that.
Yeah, we
got
Carter for that reason. I think that's a big thing. Our team is constant. We have so many centers, dude. Like it's not even funny.
Just to interrupt and go on a small tangent, I was doing an NHL franchise or whatever, and I did the really dumb one where you pick a bunch of random players, create the team before.
Oh, like fantasy draft.
You do the thing. No, you just create the team and then just pick random players on any team or whatever, and I just picked a bunch of AHL guys.
Yeah.
So I had a couple double up guys, traded a couple guys away or whatever when I picked Arizona as the team I was replacing, and I got Jeff Carter. He's my number one center.
Nice.
That's it. And he's just epic, man. Just point per game.
Good, I love Jeff Carter.
So hilarious because I stole everybody in the AHL, so I have a Lucas Raymond and all these just nasty guys.
That's awesome.
but it's funny. He's just Jeff Carter is my number one center. So Taylor Radish and fucking Lucas Raymond, or
just recreating the Penguins at the start of the season.
Yeah, exactly. I look like the Penguins at the start of the season. That's hilarious.
Oh, it's so good. So good. I love it. But yeah, using that trade talk, should we dive into our little segment we got planned for the deadline?
Yeah, I'm excited.
I'm excited for this too. So our plan this week was we did a little bit of trade talk, and I think people enjoyed the trade bait board. I hope you did because I worked so hard on that. I looked at so many names and so many draft picks that all I dream about is names and draft picks on Cap Friendly. We kind of narrowed it down this time. We each picked 2 teams, buyers at the deadline, and picked a couple trades for each. So we're gonna go one by one with these teams, list the team and 3 different types of trades we made, and kind of review them and see what we think. Who wants to go first? Do you boys want to, or do you want me to kick her off?
I do not want to go first.
All right, Jordan, you go first. Chase, you can go second. I will close it off. So
are we gonna do just one team and then we'll do?
We'll do one team and then our second team after. Do all the trades with
your
one team.
Up.
So Jordan, what team are you gonna talk about first?
All right, my first team is Minnesota.
All right, what do you have now? One I do want to actually add because I forgot to bring this up. We also these trades. We picked one team and we narrowed down one position. So these aren't all trades happening at once. These are, you can pick this for the goaltender position, this guy, or a D-man for this, and this, right? So just clarification with that. So Jordan, continue with Minnesota.
In my mind, Minnesota needs some center depth.
Yep.
So the first trade that I decided, which is like the cheaper end trade in my mind, is I've gone and gotten Chris Tierney at a 50% retained for a 5th round pick from San Jose that they have and their 2023 3rd round pick.
I like that. That makes a lot of sense with Tierney's contract being up, Ottawa needing to get something for him in my mind. I almost look at him and see, I look at him, I'm like, I would honestly give up more for him, but I think that might go through. A 3rd and you said a 5th, right?
Compared it to like the Eric Stahl trade, right?
Right.
And I think that was a 3rd and a 5th.
The only downside of the comparing it to that is the age. Is the only thing. Yeah. Because he's 27, it might be more, and that's the only reason I'm looking at, like, it might be more, but with how Ottawa plays him, might be able to get him for only a 3rd and a 5th. Like, they only play him 4th line minutes. 50% retained is also why it might be a 2nd instead of a 3rd. But yeah, I like the trade. I love him to Minnesota. That makes so much sense for their 3rd line. Then they don't play Nico Sturm, hey?
Like, this is, yeah, man.
On the 3rd line, I say.
At the start of the year, like, can they just get this guy off that fucking Ottawa team? I don't even care if it goes to Minnesota.
Honestly, I don't care where he goes. I want him to play 3rd line center for a playoff team. Because he can do that.
Get him off that fucking team. He's useless. Like, he's doing nothing on your team. Like, you guys aren't using him. It makes no sense. Like, why?
They're not using him right. They're not using him right.
It's so weird. Like, you know, this guy's good enough to, like, play in a top 6. Like, especially on your team.
Yeah, absolutely. At least 3rd line. They've been playing 4th line. That's my biggest issue. But I love the trade. I love the idea. I love Tierney going. What's your second trade with Minnesota?
This one is where we get a bit more pricey.
Yeah.
I have gone for Claude Giroux.
Ooh, interesting.
So at 50% retained, I have offered a 1st round pick for this year, Victor Rask and Jordy Ben.
Yep. I'd say that's pretty. They get a 1st out of it. Rask contract's up next year. What's Jordy Ben's contract looking like right now? Is it like $1 million?
1 year, $900K.
Oh, 1 year, $900K. Yeah. I love it. I wonder if you don't trade Ben and keep him instead.
Yeah.
Because I wonder if that's just not needed. That's the only thing. Like, just in Minnesota's mind, I'm looking at, like, having a 7th D-man that is Jordy Ben sounds pretty nice in the playoffs.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong.
And Philly will bite on a 1st, I feel like. I feel like they got to, right? With Giroux, Chase? Yeah. Do you agree with that? If you give up a 1st, that they gotta say I feel like they gotta be looking at trading him. And if there's a bidding war, I feel like you could get a little more. But if there's no one else offering, which is a possibility, a 1st will get it done, I think. And Victor Rask for cap.
Yeah, give me the trade again, just so I'm sure I know what you're talking about.
Claude Giroux at 50% retained for Minnesota's 2022 first round pick, Victor Rask and Jordy Ben, which I guess Jordy Ben in this case could be changed to a pick maybe.
Yeah, or nothing even if needed, depending.
I believe they have money. They could just straight up just do that without any players in there.
True, but it's nice to get the money out too.
Yeah, but it's nice to have Victor Rask. He's been pretty. They really like him. He's been a helpful guy. They know him.
That's $4 million on your 4th line, though. That's where I'm looking at. Like, I would use that $4 million
contract.
But that's why you trade him for the deadline, get something else, is where my mind goes.
Yeah,
and it's but they'll probably sign him for piss all next year.
Right?
Yeah, he'll be a free agent next year.
Yeah, you can just sign him for like piss all is kind of what I'm thinking.
That's why I'm saying he'll be a free agent. Why don't you trade him away? Unlikely another team will sign him
because you want to win the cup and you think he can help you.
I think $4 million is more valuable than Victor Rask in a trade.
Yeah, I do.
If they're making another trade to get somebody
that's where my mind
with
goes.
This trade, I'm okay with it.
If you're trading your first for Giroux, and you know it's a one-year deal, like we said with Minnesota time and time again, they're good. They have cap space now. Go for it.
Mm-hmm.
Why not go for it? You're a good enough hockey team. You got a good enough goalie that if he gets hot, can go on a run. I love their decor, and if they can add to that with the $4 million, I would be ecstatic for this team. And their forward group, like Jordan said, you bring in Giroux as a depth center option, or even just to play first line wing with Kaprizov. I think that's way more valuable than Victor Rask on fourth line, because you can always find another Victor Rask for the season. Is where my mind goes. That's at least where my mind goes. I understand what you're saying, Chase. You may not need to do that. If that's your only deal, then sure. I don't see why not. Yeah. Why not keep the extra player if you're not going to make another deal? But
yeah, exactly.
If you got something in your back pocket, if you got something in your back pocket and you can add Victor Rask $4 million, I think you do it. You risk losing him and not being able to sign him next year, even potentially, for that $4 million to get a better player. Imagine they got Andrew Kopp with that $4 million. Just like a name to throw out. Like that would be crazy. So, anyways, little tangent off, but Jordan, do you want to go with your last trade? I really like Giroux as a Wild. Yeah, that would be interesting.
This one's interesting as well. So this one is with Pittsburgh.
Yeah, okay.
I've gone and I've asked for Brian Boyle.
Ooh,
and Kasperi Kapanen.
Oh, fuck.
For Jordan Greenway and a 2022 first.
Oh, I hate you because I love that deal.
Yeah, because Greenway fits what Pittsburgh wants.
Fuck, we can easily get rid of Zucker for Greenway. Oh, yeah. Greenway is like a 10 times better Zucker, and he's younger. He can play with Malkin. Oh my god, that's
got Zucker going back home, buddy. Nice.
No, just probably a separate deal. It would have to be, but it just gives the free space because of the size of Greenway and the first.
No doubt.
We never get first round picks. What if we flip that first and our first for like Chikrin too? I would love it. Okay, I will say this. I agree as a Penguins fan. I can't believe I'm agreeing to give out Kapanen because that's one of the few players I thought would be non-touchables for me on the team. But I agree if we do something crazy with the first, or we are officially going to try and retool, rebuild.
Yeah.
What? Actually, now I'm thinking about it. Even if we didn't do a trade after, Greenway is not better than Kapanen, but we can keep Rust if we get Greenway. So I wouldn't be opposed.
He's signed for like ever. Hey.
Yeah. Or I don't know if Greenway signed forever. I think he's on like a 1 or 2 year deal. Oops, that's Dallas. I will check really quick. Let's see what he is making.
I thought he just signed a decent long deal. I could be wrong.
Where
probably thinking about the Eck deal.
Greenway. Oh, he's up next year. He's got $2 million. So it would have to come with an extension for me.
Yeah.
Greenway extension, I would want long term at under $5 million, frankly, or $5.
No, that's fair enough.
If that came with it, then which I presume a Kapanen extension would have to come for them.
Yeah,
because I think his deal's up. I don't hate it by any means. I genuinely don't. I'm looking at Minnesota and I'm like, I'm just trying to think, is that worth it for Minnesota? Is Kapanen worth it is the question.
As well as Boyle.
As Boyle as a depth option, absolutely. Like, he'll be great for the last line center, which I like how we were just talking about Boyle and how I don't really want to get rid of him and sign him back.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
Fuck, that's so tough because Kapanen's high-end skill playing with Kaprizov, like the speed of that line with Hartman. Imagine Hartman, Kaprizov, and Kapanen. Your wingers are the Flash and Flash 0.20. Like,
you're right.
Like, Chase, what do you think of the deal? I'm not.
It's pretty crazy.
It is pretty crazy.
Pretty crazy. Like,
that'd be ballsy.
Yeah, no doubt.
That's a ballsy move on Garen's part, I would say.
I just don't think it would. Yeah, I don't think you could do that. I wouldn't go. I know there's other things involved, but just the swap for Kapanen for Greenway, I'd probably say no.
That's a big piece, right?
Like, I'm just, as the GM in Minnesota, the way things are going.
You also drafted him. It's really hard to trade a drafted player.
I'd probably not.
But he needs to get paid.
He does need to get paid. So does Kapanen. And if Kapanen's probably going to be better. Like, I trust me, I love the idea of this trade. And
I mean,
if
Jordan
one of
Greenway
these guys,
like to a T, so
yeah,
I think Greenway works perfectly on Minnesota. I think
he does too.
Is his highest on that team. I don't know if bringing in a new guy to try to. Yeah,
that's my fear.
Missing Greenway. I think you'll be missing Greenway more than you'll be happy you have Kapanen.
And I wonder if it could be a losing trade for both, which, I mean, in most people's eyes, that's a good trade. If both teams lose or win, or both teams aren't happy either way, it's usually a good trade, right? It's an even trade. I think Kapanen fits better as a Penguin, maybe, and Greenway better as a Wild.
Mm-hmm.
But high end, if they both did successful switching, this is a good trade in my eyes, because Kapanen, we all know what Kapanen's high end is, and if he plays with Kaprizov and gets 70 points, like,
oh yeah, that'd be so exciting.
And you get him on an extension that's like under $6 million long term, Minnesota's laughing. Like, and you can free up Fiala if you really want to after that. Like, it's an option. I would say it's an option, but Greenway's, it's tough to trade a 24-year-old who's not had too bad of a streak in Minnesota.
No, not at all.
So, but I love it.
And he's created that unreal second
the wild card trade.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. You got to go with a wild card trade in there somehow.
I wanted to put one in, right? There's 3 trades here, so I figured why not at least put one interesting one.
Nope, that is very fair. Chase, I'm going to throw it over to you. What team are you going to talk about your trades with?
Well, we are going to Smashville is where we are going.
Starting with. All right. What do you got for us? What position did you focus on with Nashville?
I focused on a right winger.
Nice.
Because everybody's got left-handed players in this world. So I am kicking it off. Where do I want to start? Oh, geez. Let's go. Yeah, I'll start with the Zona trade. Zona trade. Who do you think this is for? Come on, boys. You know what I'm trading for.
I think we know exactly who you're trading for.
Okay,
Andrew
cool.
Ladd.
No, Louis.
Oh, shit. Louis.
First round pick.
Nice.
Yeah, so Phil Kessel.
So Phil the Thrill is going to Smashville. That's a...
Phil the Thrill and Johan Larson are the two guys in this trade going to Smashville. Absolutely no money retained because these guys have money coming out their ass.
And they're up next year, so.
And that also means they're cheap as borscht. So, yeah. This is probably going to come to a shock for most people because I'm sure you can get more, but there would be a conditional pick in this. All Zona's getting back for giving up Kessel and Johan Larson is Rocco Grimaldi and a 2022 third round pick. An LA 22 third round pick.
Okay.
Condition would be like if they win the Stanley Cup, that would turn into like a first pick, or if they win 2 rounds, that turns into like a second pick or something like that.
I think it'd have to be if they go to the conference final and Phil Kessel plays 50% of their games in the playoffs, that they get a second. I feel like that's the high end of Phil Kessel, or like you do something like a goal stipulation with Kessel. Like if Kessel hits 7 goals in the playoffs, you have to pay up a second because he was effective, right? Like you could do something cool with that.
Yeah, exactly. Like all I have down is if they win 2 rounds, the third would change to a second.
I like that. I think that's all you need to get.
You get your first. You get a first round pick instead of a third. So
that'd be cool.
Yeah, it's not much. Just Kessel and Larson for Grimaldi and a conditional third. That, like I said, what the conditions were. It's all full money. You're not retaining anything. So Zona's nice and happy. They're not taking on so much money. I think Grimaldi's got a $2 million contract. Get him out of the AHL, playing in the NHL again.
Yeah, get him minutes.
Might as well. It's not like he's gonna move the needle on you guys getting out of last place.
Arizona needs to pay one person at least too, right? So
yeah. And they also probably like gonna be pretty close to the bottom of the cap if they kind of by the time they're done this trade deadline. I guess is kind of what I'm getting at. Not just after
that
this
makes
trade,
sense.
But,
absolutely.
But yeah, no,
cool.
Simple trade.
Simple, easy trade. Makes sense for a lot of teams. I mean, I have no idea where Phil Kessel's going to go. I have a feeling he's not going anywhere because there's no options. Like, we're really searching for options for Kessel to go somewhere.
And I finally found a spot for him. I like this spot. I like him in Nashville.
And know what? I looked at Nashville even, and I just looked at them, and I just don't. You know, there's some teams where like I picture him in that jersey scoring a goal. I don't with Kessel because it's so hard for me not to picture him in just, I don't know. It's a weird player, right? Kessel's 34. Is he done? Is he gonna have one last run where he's decent? And
you got to think
he's on a really rough team, right? Like that's the problem. But
you got to think he'll find a good spot for himself in the next UFA market and kind of.
Oh, I'm sure he will find somewhere for a cheap deal.
Yeah, no, I think this is a super good spot for him. They have a lot of young guys, a lot of guys that are trying their best. But like, let's be serious, it'd help if they had a more veteran winger out here because like after Forsberg, it's just a bunch of kids and Colton Sissons, and then you want to throw in Nick Cousins and Luke Kunin. Kunin's still pretty damn young.
I don't think they give Kunin up, honestly.
I'm not talking about giving him up. I'm just saying like the other guys surrounding this cast. It's Philip Forsberg, and after that, it's a bunch of kids. So like,
no, absolutely,
you're a good team. You're going for the playoffs. You have a very strong team. I think this is a good fit for them. Getting another right-handed winger that can put some pucks in net, make some plays. Actually, he's more of a playmaker turned into nowadays. But yeah, no, that's my first trade there. So that's Kessel, Johan Larson, the old fourth line center. Kind of thought they could use an extra center or something like that.
Yeah,
for Grimaldi and a conditional third. Now let's hit up the Montreal Canadiens, and I'm going to nab somebody that I don't interested to see what you guys think about this. So I am taking Brendan Gallagher.
Okay.
Gallagher.
It's in Nashville.
Frederick Allard and a 2022 second round pick. And there'd be like an added pick if they like won the cup or something like that. But yeah,
sorry, who is the Allard? Frederick Allard?
Okay. Yeah, he's a D prospect, like a right-handed D prospect or something like that. He's pretty decent. Second round pick, 22 second round pick, and Frederick Allard for Brendan Gallagher. And like I said, maybe throw a condition in there if he does certain things or if they go certain distances or whatever.
Maybe make it a first or something.
Yeah, exactly. Hey,
shit.
Just the same sort of idea I was kind of thinking with Kessel. Like, it'd be nice to just have any sort of more veteran presence. I like how he plays, and I think his dynamic can complement this team because a lot of these young guys in Tomasino, Tolvanen, they're more offensive guys, even Kunin. So I think Gallagher would really kind of help balance this team out. I really think that would. It's a big contract. They do have money. It might get tight in the next couple of years once guys start coming off. I understand that, but I think this is a pretty good opportunity for Nashville if they're the way they're playing and stuff like that. I like the fire and all that sort of stuff. So I don't know. I've never really found a place for Gallagher. That's a tough trade to make. Another 5 years on the deal. Yeah. It's a tough trade to make, but I think this is a team that can do it, and that might do it. But yeah, how do you? I don't know. What do you guys think? Gallagher for just like a basic. I don't know how.
Fuck. I don't know.
Allard's in a decent spot. He's not a terrible prospect. He'll definitely play in the NHL.
The only downside with Allard I have is he's 24, and that's.
And I felt like Montreal needed somebody that can at least
step in
play
soonish.
Soonish.
Yeah, I get that too.
And grow into a better player, and I think he can.
I don't see like I want to. The argument is like Gallagher today is worth more than just Allard in a second. But is his contract for the next so long worth?
Yeah, like that's
more,
why I'm not giving
right?
up much.
So
like,
I understand why.
First-round pick for a $6.5 million for the next 5 years, like it's.
And that's where I'm kind of agreeing with you in the sense there, and getting the contract out. Montreal just gets it gone. That is a weird player for Montreal to trade for pennies on the dollar in a way, if you know what I mean. It's still undervaluing Gallagher when he's there. Captain of the forwards at least? Like, he's been there thick and thin. Habs fans love him to death. It's a tough one to swing for Habs fans to only get a second.
They wouldn't like it.
They would hate it.
Oh, they would not like it.
And that's why I wonder if you lean in a different player direction, maybe. But I understand what you mean. Gallagher fits Nashville. Like, just hard playing. I think Gallagher would fit so many teams in their top 6, but no, I think you have to give up a first for Gallagher just for who he is. Honestly, like just because of the impact, I don't think Montreal trades him for less than a first. That's the only maybe change the second to a first, then, which is a lot.
Not doing it.
Which is a lot.
Not doing it then.
Yeah, so that's my biggest thing. Montreal. That's hard to trade away a player like that of personal impact.
I guess maybe a next year's first, or like I could give you. I'm not giving you this year's first round pick. I'll tell you that. Maybe
a second instead of Allard. You give up a better prospect, or add another decent one. Not necessarily like a first round pick or anything, but like if you.
I do have like a condition with the second and Allard being like maybe these toss the LA third round pick if like they do whatever in the playoffs that year. But yeah, maybe it has to be a condition that like they win the first round or something. You get a first round pick, or
I think if you go to the conference finals, you definitely give up a first at least. Maybe there's just a condition in there to meet in the middle. If you can make a trade, you might have to add in a lower end prospect added to it. Whoever you might like. Know who someone that they might be interested in is like a Luke Evan Galista, captain of the. He's a second round pick. He's captain of the London Knights. Instead of giving up Allard, giving up him and a second, like a fourth or something, wouldn't hurt. Or Allard, Evan Lista, and a second.
Have you really ever heard of Nashville trading any of their defensemen? Like,
no.
First time I've heard of it was Ryan Ellis. So
yeah, pretty much. Hey,
and like Shea Weber,
Seth Jones, Suter. Suter walked. I guess
they literally get too good to be on the team. That's
honestly. So yeah, no, I don't hate it. It's just like. Fuck, it's really it's hard to see Gallagher out of a Habs jersey and in any other jersey.
Yeah.
He just seems like a lifelong Hab, and
I feel you.
No, I definitely get that.
That's just where my mind instantly goes. But I like the idea. I like the player.
That is all I got.
That's all you got for Nashville. Well, yeah, those are good. Very accurate. Just like obviously, there's gonna be some small tweaks. I have an interesting one. I'm gonna start with the Leafs because I think the Rangers are more interesting than the Leafs. Can you guess which position I picked for the Leafs to upgrade?
Oh God, goaltending probably. Hey,
no, right hand defense is right where I'm looking at. So let's start with the lower end trade. This guy's technically a left-handed D-man, but he can play the right side, and then whatever. Yeah, Calvin DeHaan, 50% retained in exchange for a third round pick and Mikhail Abramov. I honestly might lower the third to a fourth. Might be much. But I was thinking just because he's 50% retained, he's somewhat effective. I don't know. What would you value Calvin DeHaan? Anything much? He's on a 1-year deal. He's had experience.
Yeah, Leafs third round pick, I guess.
I think a third and
underwhelming on that team.
Yeah,
so
he
I don't know
has,
how
right?
much.
I have a couple different options. So you pick 2 of these 3 options. What I got: 3rd round pick 2022, 4th round pick, and Mikhail Abramov. Because Mikhail Abramov is like 24 and 23, and just not what they think he is. People still think he's highly touted. I just don't at all. I don't think he's gonna be an NHL player, and you sell him for anything as a prospect. So that's my first one. Very simple, very basic, very realistic. Next one, I got Toronto going to Buffalo and snagging a bit of that Colin Miller at 50% retained. I think Colin Miller seems like a better Justin Hall.
I like that.
Right? And I have them giving up Pierre Engvall and a 2nd round pick in 2022. You're probably going to have to maybe make like a Hall trade later with another team just to get the cap out. But I figure Engvall, he's actually playing in the NHL a lot this year. He's been okay, I guess, if you want to say that. You got to get rid of that cap for the Leafs and a 2nd round pick. If Buffalo can get a 2nd for Miller and 50% retained and a roster player who has some upside, I think maybe you take that.
Yeah, that'd be ideal, wouldn't it?
What do you guys think of that one more? That one's better.
I like that one a lot.
Yeah, that one just seems to fit the Leafs a lot better. Moving on to
no doubt, hey.
Yeah, so my last trade here, this is my crazy swinging for the fences. So if it's bad, I understand why. That's why. It's very bold. I have Toronto calling the Minnesota Wild and calling about Matt Dumba and trading Alex Kerfoot, Justin Hall, a 2nd round pick in 2022, and Semyon Argentchev, SDA, who's a decent prospect, plays in the AHL. He gets a lot of points in the AHL, may have some NHL upside, but it's dwindling. But Kerfoot, it may not seem like a lot, but Kerfoot is a very good hockey player, and people just forget that because he makes $3.5 million on a cap strap Leafs team.
Yeah.
And he can fit in that 2nd, 3rd line, center, wing, whatever you need, PK. He just checks off a lot of boxes that coaches like. So I like throwing Kerfoot in. And then you also still get the cap space of Dumba in a way when Kerfoot's done at the end of the year. So
yeah, I like that.
You still get the 3.5 at the end of the year. You have to deal with Justin Hall for another year. But if you really don't want him, you could throw in a 3rd round pick instead. I just threw him in because he's on the board. An extra depth D-man, never heard a playoff team. So, that's my bold one. And it's like I said, this is mainly to create space for another trade as well. So maybe you package the 2nd 22 and your 1st for a top D-man prospect.
So you're saying you're getting Dumba?
I'm saying the Leafs get Dumba.
That's pretty sweet. That'd be awesome. I'd love to see him on that team.
Yeah, I wonder how he would do.
He'd excel.
He'd excel points wise, and I know that. But he might get shit on defensively because he's probably playing with Jake Muzzin. If that trade goes down, but
he also might get eaten up by the fucking fans.
Yeah, big time will be. So
super nice people.
But I think he's a good enough D-man to help this decor for sure. If the Leafs can somehow turn Kerfoot into a top 4 right-hand D-man, I think you got to try. As much as I think he's been great this year for them. Excuse me, sorry. He's been just so good for them, but I sell high kind of thing. You probably don't have the money to sign him back. So get something useful for it in my eyes. But that is my last trade with the Leafs. So 2 of them were very realistic, and the other one it's a bit of a reach, but
yeah, you got really thinking about that Dumba on the Leafs. That would be so cool.
Yeah, it would be
so,
interesting.
I can just picture him on that team.
I can too.
Pretty sweet.
Yeah, I like that one. I wondered if you guys would like it. So that's cool that you guys do. Shall we move on to our second teams?
Yeah, I got
Jordan.
Calgary next.
Ooh, bit of Calgary. What position are you upgrading there? Is it the position that we harp on every time we talk about Calgary?
So it's not.
Oh, it's not. Okay.
With this.
Interesting.
I think Calgary need a goal scorer.
Ooh.
They need another person who's going to put the puck in the net. So I went with 2 wingers and then a center who can also play wing.
Okay.
To start with, I'm ringing up Arizona like everybody else, and I want Phil Kessel.
And you want Andrew Ladd. Oh, shit. Damn, I was wrong twice. Yeah. Leading goal scorer, Andrew Ladd. I don't know if that's true, but I really hope it is.
That'd be weird.
I'm gonna check that. I'm gonna quickly check that out while you're
probably Clayton Keller.
I'm just talking goal scorer, like not point getter, goal scorer. Because Andrew Ladd, I seem to watch him score a lot. Probably 5 goals. I don't know, 5.
So I've called up for Kessel, and I'm offering the 2022 second overall or second round pick from Florida that Calgary has.
Yep.
And Calgary's 2023 4th round pick. So a second and a 4th for Phil Kessel.
For Phil Kessel, 50% retained. Yeah. Maybe if there isn't a bidding war, you could get him less. If there's a bidding war, you'll get him for a second. I think is very fair. So high end value, I would say that's even. That's fair.
Yeah.
You were right, by the way. Clayton Keller is the Arizona's leading scorer, but Andrew Ladd, I'm pretty sure, is tied for second. So, unless Louis...
it's Keller at 10, Krause at 8.
Oh, Krause is 8 there.
7, Ghost at 6, and Mr. Andrew Ladd tied with Philip Kessel.
Yeah, Phil Kessel is 5. That's still pretty good.
That's awesome.
Still pretty decent. But anyways, yeah. Phil Kessel to Calgary.
5 goals, 1 assist.
So good. So good. So Phil Kessel is a flame. Phil Kessel is a flame. Again, I'm just going to say the same thing I said with Chases, and it's very hard to trade for Phil Kessel because I just don't fucking know where to put him. I genuinely looked so hard. And you did.
I don't mind those.
I don't mind if anywhere.
I really like that.
If anywhere, I'm not disagreeing because they do need scoring help. In a way, but no, I think it's a start. It's a start. I feel like I'm gonna like your next 2 a lot more than this one since you led with Kessel.
Yeah, I figured I'd lead with Kessel.
Yeah.
So the second one is I'm calling up Anaheim. At this point, I'm thinking this is more of a deadline deal if Anaheim aren't doing as well as they are currently. Because right now, I think they're second in their division.
Yeah, I believe so. Last I checked, they were. Yes, they are.
But I'm calling up Anaheim, and I'm asking for Rickard Rakell.
Yeah.
So
I'm all over that.
I offer that Florida pick, and I offer Calgary's 2023 3rd.
I think he's worth a first. I think he's worth a first, honestly. With how Anaheim's playing and he's playing, I think you gotta throw a first instead if you want Rakell. He's on a great deal. You don't even have to retain, and if you do, then you're even laughing even more. Fuck yeah, I know where you're coming from.
I had this guy in my Calgary one in the off season. Exactly, like Rakell would be just nasty on this team.
He'd be perfect. I think, and he can play center. I know he's not often plays center, but if they're in a bind, he can play center, which is nice.
But I do think they need that extra punch offense.
I love Rakell as a flame itself.
Go for it.
I don't know. Anaheim's one of those teams that I just don't see them trading a lot of guys anymore.
Yeah, because they're doing good right now.
They're so good right now, and I just don't see them slowing. It's hard for me to see them slowing down. So that's the only reason why
I said it. Absolutely. If Calgary or if Anaheim slowed down,
if they slip out of a playoff spot at the deadline and want to get something for Rakell, I can see that. But I think every team is calling about Rakell, so I think it's a first. I think it's a first.
No, that's fair.
Because imagine a team capturing like the Leafs or the Lightning or whatever get him. He's only making 3.7. And that's before retaining. So I think he might get a lot. But yeah, that's good.
On the value for Raquel, so I think a first definitely sounds.
It's weird. The worse they get, his value goes up to me. But the better they keep going, the value goes down because they don't need him.
Yeah.
Like that's the weirdest thing about Raquel. I've never seen a situation where the better the team plays, the less value you can get for a guy. So, no, I think I love him to Calgary. That's what I will say. Now, tell me about this. Can I guess who this last player is? Because he kind of gave a hint. It's Thomas Hertl, isn't it?
It is Thomas Hertl.
Knew it. I fucking knew it. All right, tell me your Thomas Hertl trade.
And I want Thomas Hertl. And for Hertl, I have offered Sean Monahan, Connor Mackey, and a second.
Hell yeah.
Holy.
Yeah. This is also on the condition that I am able to re-sign Thomas Hertl for at least somewhere between 6 and 7 million for 6 years.
Okay.
Which I think
now,
is cheap.
With the condition, like, are you saying like if you sign him, it turns in your second turns to a first? Or
no, I'm just saying like I wouldn't be getting Hertl unless I'm for sure.
Unless he comes with an extension. Gotcha.
Yeah. I'm extending him when I sign him, basically, or when I trade for him.
I think you gotta throw in a condition on that second to turn to a first if you make Stanley Cup final.
Yeah, and I mean with what I'm offering now, certainly I'd be happy to.
Yeah, I don't hate that one bit because Monahan actually could do well with change of scenery and then being flipped again by San Jose. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Connor Mackey is worth quite a lot.
Yeah, he's a decent,
highly
touted prospect. I like it. I think just a condition on the second, and if San Jose has somewhat of a loose plan to get rid of Monahan for another high-end pick or prospect down the future, and are interested in exploring that, then I'm totally game. Mm-hmm. And I don't see a downside from either side, frankly. Like we were saying earlier, I think Hertl needs to be traded and you get assets. And I know Monahan isn't a future asset, but he could turn into one pretty easily if you play him play him in between Timo Meier and maybe Eklund next year. Like, what if that's your top line?
Not done.
He
hasn't plateaued.
I think, and San Jose is an offensive-minded team, and I think that's what Monahan needs to get back on track. So the more and more I dive deep into this, the more and more I love this trade. Actually, like it makes sense.
Yeah, no,
for everyone.
They have to trade this Monahan. He's not doing enough.
He's playing
unless
fourth
you believe
line.
He's going.
Unless you believe he's second line center than Monahan.
Yeah, and if you can push Backlund down to the third line again, you're a Stanley Cup contender with that forward group. That forward group is a Stanley Cup contender if Backlund's your third C.
Yeah, like the way they're playing, do you take the chance on Monahan bouncing back next year? Like, I think
if you can get Hertl out of it, I don't.
Pay up to get rid of that contract, and that's just like we said in other podcasts. It's perfect. Having guys do terrible is just actually so good. Such a blessing in disguise. Like you just got this $6 million contract. Sorry, it's like basically almost $7 million.
Yeah,
6.8 something. But that's like we said, 2 retained top players in this deadline is what you can get back. So
exactly.
Yeah, it's got to happen. I like this Hertl coming back. I wonder if they can retain that, and then they could go for like a chariot or whatever.
Yeah, if they did that, they'd have to for sure give up the first.
They'd be
without
giving
a
up
condition.
First round picks for sure. Are they going all in? Is what Calgary? That's the question. Like we kind of brought this up last time. Like, fuck, do you keep going or?
If you're Calgary, this is the best shot they've had for.
Yeah, that's true. This is the best I've seen Calgary look in my entire life. Other than like vaguely, do I remember the early Iginla days where he was just the best player in the world? Like, I don't really remember them that much because I was so young, but this is one of the best Calgary teams I've seen, and this is a better Calgary team than when we saw them, like Gaudreau get like 99 points and stuff like that season. I think this team's better, so I'm not opposed to them going out. And Hertl is not a guy that's like, especially with the extension that you're talking about. Hurdle's not the guy that you're like, oh, well, if we're going to go for it and we got one chance with Hurdle. No, you could have 5 years of Hurdle.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
6 years with the contract that you said, that would be a very good years. So I really, it's hard for me to find a downside for Calgary in this trade. I think Hurdle will fit on any team. He's big, strong, center, can score. Everyone wants that in abundance. Exactly. So I love it. I love that trade, frankly. Maybe you need to add a bit more. That's the only. It might sound a little too sweet for Calgary, so they may have to pay up a bit more for Hurdle, just especially with the extension. You get to keep him, so it's kind of give up full value, right?
It'd be madness on that team, man.
It would be madness. So would be madness. Having him and Kachuk either on separate lines or the same would be terrifying. Either or. So, anyways, that's your 3 trades with Calgary.
Yeah, there's Calgary.
Cool. I liked them. Those were good as well. Drew, Chase, it's your final team and your final trades.
Ooh. Okay, I got Boston, the Big Bees. Trying to still screw around with some Jake DeBrusk trades here. I was gonna go a different direction, but I was like, screw it. It's the first thing that needs to happen.
Yeah.
But so I went to Minnesota.
Oh, I like that. I like Jake in Minnesota, actually. Sorry, continue.
I don't know about the trade I'm about to say. I'm really interested to see what you guys have to say.
I like it so far because that's a team I don't know why I never thought to just throw in the mix with him. But continue.
Yeah. It's kind of doesn't make sense for Minnesota, but like the other trades we made with Minnesota, getting like Giroux, like they got money, they can do a lot.
Freeing up cap space sometimes is the pre-move before the big move, right?
Yeah, exactly. So they're freeing up that wee bit of cap spaces, just a couple mil. Kevin Fiala, Jake DeBrusk, Zach Sanderson, and a second-round pick. Not this year's second-round pick.
Okay.
I guess it could be this year's second-round pick, next year's second-round pick. I don't know. Second-round pick, Zach Sanderson, Jake DeBrusk for Kevin Fiala.
I like it.
I
like the format.
Is that enough?
I don't know if that's quite enough. If I'm Minnesota, I kind of want to like get one other player or prospect to just be like, at least if someone like we have more shots at the dartboard to be NHLers. I think you got to look at that as Minnesota, right?
Do you take,
but no one like I don't think like
Wagner is like is Chris Wagner or somebody that they'd want?
Well, is it
question? He's got a little bit of a higher clip. Like
the question is with Minnesota, would you rather a NHL player or a prospect?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey.
So let's decide between the three of us. You guys.
I say Zach Sanderson's perfect. I have Zach there because
I think he can be a good depth guy
for this. Yeah, for this period of time with these buyouts.
That's almost
more useful.
That's why I wonder if you get a prospect. I lean more towards a prospect because you can always trade away a prospect for someone that you really want.
The other idea was that like this is a second round pick that they would most likely use to get Giroux or whatever other trade.
Right.
So it'd be DeBrusk helping them now, filling in Fiala, which probably would work all right. Senyenson may not help you at all right now, but he can help in the next 3 years possibly. I don't know. I just feel like he could maybe work on that team, but whatever. That's just la-di-da. And the second round pick, like I said, bam, you can just flip that for help use that to flip it for something else. Maybe not use 2 first-round picks instead of giving up 2 first-round picks to go deep this year. You just use 1 first-round pick.
Know who I kind of take in the trade with it as I'm just looking at some of their prospects and some of their guys in the AHL at Boston. I look at a Jakub Lauko to be added. I love him too.
I wouldn't do it because I think like that's the thing in my eyes is Boston. That's too much value. I like that Laku. So, but
yeah, see,
I feel
I think you gotta get.
That's
Senshin's not worth enough. Senshin is a freebie in this deal. You could get him for future considerations, so I discount him from the deal. But it's a player.
In a sense, he's not worth. Really
he's not moving the needle. He's not moving the needle at all. He's the throw in.
No.
If that's the case, then you got to throw in like a Jack Atkin. If you don't want to give up Lauco, who's also
yeah,
a good
like
prospect.
we're talking about the Bruins here. They got way too many random.
Know what though? I wonder if the Bruins do it. Yeah, I wonder if they do it because they need to go for it.
Yeah, they just need to move on from him.
They need to move on from DeBrusk, and if you can upgrade with Fiala, even if you're paying up with prospects, those prospects won't be effective to the Bruins when they are NHLers. Right? Like, there's very few of their prospects that will probably be in the NHL making noise when they're good. Like, well, this team is still good unless they just hit a miracle player and go on a run for, again, riding someone else. Like, there's a low chance, right? So I think you take Fiala if you can. I think that's a good deal. But you know what, though? I think you add Lauco in it or Akan, stuff like that, if there's an extension with Fiala long term. That's what you add it with. I think that's what makes it more comfortable for Boston. If you add a 6-7 year deal has to be under $6.5 million, probably, for Fiala, right? 6 million? Yeah, 6 million, 6 years, 6 million, 7 years.
The way he's playing this year, I could almost give him 5.5, give him a high 5. I'm sure you can give him 6, though. He'll want 6.
He'll want 6 at least. I think you compromise at 6 for 6 years, 7 years, and then you add a prospect. I like it because I like DeBrusk. To me, Kaprizov's that type of player. He's one of the first wingers I've seen in a very long time that can play with anyone and turn them a good player into a superstar. We've seen it with Patrick Kane, who's done it. Like, look what he did for Panarin. I know Panarin is a star in itself now, but like, he really jump-started him. There's a couple other guys I'm sure you can
I'm so sad that they left. Like, that just kills me that those guys don't play together.
I know, me too. I think, I like it. I like it for both teams because both teams got to go for it. Minnesota's just never seemed to like Fiala. I don't know what it is. Doesn't seem to work for them.
Oh, they just love him when he's getting so many points.
When he's scoring, but when he's not, he's the worst. He's ineffective for them.
Apparently he's just the worst. So,
and by that logic, you're speaking of which, I can't believe we haven't brought this up yet, but Dean Evason signed an extension with the Wild. That was just quietly brought out recently. I found out yesterday. Should bring that up for, I think, another 3 or 4 years extension. He's going to be there a long time. If Fiala's in his doghouse now, and with how strong-headed Fiala can be is what the word is, I don't think it's going to work. So I think it's a very good trade for everyone involved. Boston needs to hit a flyer with one of these trades. So, anyways, continue. You can go with the next trade.
Okay, basically, I'm literally giving up the exact same shit. Jake DeBrusk, Zach Senyenson, and a second-round pick. That is my trade and that is my deal. I'm going to Columbus this time, and I want Yak Roslovic and half-retained Max Domi.
Yeah, I don't hate that.
So yeah, same shit. DeBrusk, Senyenson, this year or next year's second-round pick. It'd probably be this year's second-round pick because I feel like, maybe not.
I don't even know if you need that high of a pick.
I know. Hey,
I think a third.
Like, Jesus, this.
I think Fiala, if you're throwing a second with Fiala, I think a
second, but I don't know. It's a lot.
Again, I feel like they're gonna want another prospect from the Bruins for that, from the other way. If Bruins are given that, I feel like the Bruins are gonna want another player.
Yeah. Hey.
I wonder if Bruins get a D-man for that, like a Kukin or someone like a depth guy.
Honestly, I should have brought up first. Do you think they could do DeBrusk for Roslovic?
Absolutely. I would do that. If I'm Columbus, I do that in a heartbeat. I don't do that if I'm Boston.
Yeah, okay, that's what I'm wondering.
Now, if you add Domi to it, I'm more interested in DeBrusk. I honestly wonder DeBrusk Senshin for 50% Domi and Roslovic.
I know. Hey,
I think DeBrusk. You know what my issue?
You just add a conditional pick that, like, if we win a couple rounds, then you do get a third or something.
Know what I wonder instead? if you trade DeBrusque for someone else and you use picks to get Domi and Roslovic. Because those guys help your middle six.
Mm-hmm.
But you need a guy who can change the tide on your second line for DeBrusque. And I think there's enough trade offers out there that you can win a trade with DeBrusque in it. At least get the better player, right?
Yeah, and like Columbus is technically doing something that's not dumb, you know, like you're getting younger players.
Yeah, I think they would prefer a pick than DeBrusque.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I feel you on that. I'm not
like
sure
a second Senshin and a
Columbus would be
and a
on
fourth,
this,
maybe instead.
Mm-hmm.
A second and third Ascension for those guys. I don't know. I think
like Columbus would 100% do this deal. That's
for sure.
If Columbus, you offered them DeBrusque, Svenjonsson, and a second round pick, whether it was next year or not, for Roslovic and a half retained Domi, I think Columbus 1000% takes it.
So you know what you do as Boston? I think you, instead of doing what we're saying, we're kind of saying split up the trades. Put them all in one basket and get a real player and get Patrick Laine. Throw in DeBrusque, throw in a first, throw in Stanika if you have to, and get Patrick Laine. If I
don't want Laine on this Boston team.
if they're going all out, I would prefer it. I would consider it with who their coach is. I trust their coach enough to get the best out of Patrick Laine. And imagine if you just have to throw them together with Bergeron and Marchand for a little bit. Let Pasta play with Hall until Laine is settled. And then you have two lines of players who could score 40 goals in Laine and Pasta. Bergeron and Marchand is two of the best players we've seen in this generation. Taylor Hall, one of a very talented second liner. Coyle can be your second line center if you got Laine. If you got a talent like him. So that's where I lean. Maybe you go all out or...
Yeah, I was even thinking about throwing like a Holla in here just because Holla hasn't been what they need, and when you have Roslovic and Domi,
when you say really Roslovic,
not at all need Holla.
Yeah, when you say Roslovic, I picture him a Bruin. That's a name I can see in a Bruin jersey.
Roslovic, I'm like, buddy, play with Taylor Hall.
Yeah,
like, yes, sir.
Yeah, I agree. I just think if your initial trade might be a little much from Boston's end, actually.
Yeah, no, I can. Yeah,
so,
yeah, no.
I can definitely understand that. It's also hard as a Bruins fan to justify trading Jake DeBrusque and not getting a definitive upgrade, right? After the trade. That's really hard to stomach with where Boston is. So that's where my mind goes. Jordan, I don't know if you feel any different or the same.
No, I mean,
what are your thoughts?
Right, like if you're Boston, you're in win now mode because your good players are so old.
Yeah, right. And that's just it. I think they just need to go for it, and they can risk everything because they got nothing to lose. Because if they don't go for it, I think they're fucked anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and in this deal, like I'm getting two guys that can possibly work with Hull. Like,
yeah,
no
absolutely.
Risk whatsoever. Hey, you get Roslovic, you got Domi, you got Coyle. If you guys can't figure out that second line, then what do you?
I agree. I like those players going in, but like I said, I feel if you're going to trade DeBrusque, it depends what you get better value for, DeBrusque or a second and a third. If you can get better value from DeBrusque, you trade that second and third for Roslovic. And
exactly.
Domi.
Hey,
I think there's something there, just changing DeBrusque to a pick.
Yeah,
because Columbus would prefer a pick than a sure thing now, I think, as well.
Yeah, hey, like maybe this takes like sort of a three-way-ish trade.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe DeBrusque goes to maybe DeBrusque goes exactly to like a Colorado or wherever,
Edmonton.
Right? Edmonton. Yeah, like whoever, and they throw in a pick to give to Columbus. Yeah. So I like all the names involved, just in a different configuration.
Yeah, it's just how it actually
how you work it out, I think, is a different way.
Yeah, so I got Boston throwing DeBrusque and Svenjonsson for Fiala, or trying to get Roslovic or Domi. So that's my.
I'd take the Fiala. If you're offering me a trade of either of them, I take Fiala before I take for DeBrusque before I take Domi and Roslovic. So, but you might be able to do both those moves separately and just right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but anyways, what is your final trade with the Boston Bruins?
That's all I got. I just had.
Oh, you just had 2 for the Bruins? Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
They were a hard team to trade with anyways, because they need to kind of, like we said, go all out, and we were nitpicking that trade for
and like you got to get past this DeBrusque thing. So
that's your number one focus
I'd like
to move.
Like a real trade with like a hurdle or something like that, or do something cool like that. But it's like something you got to get over this DeBrusque thing first, or you're trading DeBrusque for one of these crazy things. Like,
which I don't hate.
Go defense.
Yeah,
and throw Chikrin in this and try to make that work. But
I looked at a couple Chikrin deals, but I got some news on him later, what Arizona came out and said. But I'll close off mine with the New York Rangers. Now, I did a couple. This last trade I'm going to talk about, it needs work, but I feel there's something there. So you nitpick all the way for it, okay? This first one, I'm going to kind of piggyback a little bit off one of Jordan's names. And I got New York Rangers calling the Philadelphia Flyers about Claude Giroux. 50% retained. I think that's perfect for the Rangers, because if you don't like Ryan Strome at center this week, good, you got Giroux. If you don't like Giroux at center this week, good, you got Ryan Strome. Like, it's a perfect kind of
no shit, man.
Bounce off, and a power play with Panarin, Giroux as your wings, I like. And then you can put Zibanejad as your buffer, as your sniper in the middle there. So I like that better. But anyways, get along with the trade, Rhylan. I got Giroux 50% retained for a first in 2022 and a third in 2022. May not need that third. Depends how many people call about Giroux if Philly wants to get rid of him. Pretty basic trade, though, just giving up your first round pick for a veteran captain. How many points has he gotten?
Hell yeah, he'd be awesome in that. It'd be weird, like it'd
be weird
retro deal,
but luckily the thing is, I don't think the Rangers could re-sign him, so that's what makes Philly easier to stomach. It's 1 year of Giroux being in their division.
Yeah, in a year you're shit,
and in a year that you're bad, exactly. So that's where I kind of went. Moving on to the next trade. This one is kind of an interesting one. I don't know if there's even anything here, but I didn't want to pick a whole bunch of names off my trade bait board, so I really looked for other names. I'm calling the Ottawa Senators and getting a guy with term, actually. And I want Connor Brown from them, who is making $3.6 million for this year and next, which I think the Rangers would love.
Buddy. Everybody would just cry for that. I
know.
Guy.
He'd
go for some stuff, hey?
Yeah. To start, and again, I don't know. Do you need more because of the extra year? Maybe. I gave up 2 second-round picks this year. St. Louis and New York, second-round pick this year. That's the start of it.
I think that's fine.
That seems pretty fair to me, because he's kind of a fringe second liner, really good third line winger. But like, he's a playoff beneficiary, right? He's a good F1. He can score decent. Like, this is a guy the Leafs didn't want to get rid of.
And also something I've heard, we've noticed over the last couple years, is the actual prices on people at the deadline.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're a certain type of player. Sorry, we're not giving up a first round pick
and that's
for this guy.
And that's
2 seconds.
And that's where I'm like with Connor Brown, you know? like
Devin Taves, you're super good, but you're not a first round pick good. So we'll give you 2 seconds, you know?
And the only reason I think he would get a first, Ottawa, is because he has term on a great contract for next year.
Exactly.
That's the only reason why I look at 2 seconds. I'm like, that might not be quite enough, but it's close.
Yeah, Connor Brown didn't even cross my mind. I would have given up half of my team on Boston to get him on there. Trade him for Nebraska right now.
I think Connor Brown could, for Boston, that you bring that up, could be what they thought Foligno would be.
He'd be perfect on that team, hey?
Wow, and I think the Rangers...
he'll never leave, it seems, though. But
I don't know. We'll see. But the Rangers losing Sammy Blais was a big hit to their third line. So I really like Brown playing third line. Having a power guy on each of your 3 lines is very, very good for a team, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, the Rangers don't need that they don't really need a punch on scoring. Like they really don't.
No, they don't. Exactly.
Third line guy.
They
good,
say
right?
they want it
Get
though.
Another Goudreau.
Yeah. See, and that's where I'm looking at. Connor Brown, I can see as a better Barclay Goudreau.
See, I don't like that they want that guy, that extra scorer, because like throw Capo and Laffy in that spot. Like, you guys aren't gonna win the cup. Don't pretend like you're gonna win the cup. It'd be cool. Like, I'm not saying you can't do it, but like, you know,
they got enough pieces in the right spots. But I see so many more teams I put above them. Like I put Pittsburgh and Washington ahead of them right away in their own division. I put Carolina. I put 3 teams in their own division higher than them to making the cup final. So, but yeah, it's just Connor Brown seemed like a very sensible pick, and he's got term. I wanted to key on a guy with term. Now this next one is Rangers going absolutely all out for this year and next, pretty much. Like I said, I don't know if I think there's something here, but I think I don't have the right stuff. But you can nitpick all you want for me. So I have the Rangers calling the Montreal Canadiens. And I have them getting Ben Sherratt. And this is also cheating because I picked a forward, but I'm also Ben Sherratt and Jonathan Drouin. And I trade, a big trade. But I trade their first in 2022 and Vitaly Kravtsov. Now,
holy shit, say that again. What? Jesus Christ.
Jonathan Drouin, Ben Sherratt for a first in 2022 and Vitaly Kravtsov. There might have to be a little bit more added, but that's just the base of a trade I got. And it's a big one. Jonathan Drouin has term on his deal as well, so that's why I looked at him, and he's having a really good season, actually. And they say they want scoring help, so I fucking gave him scoring help. 5.5 for this year and next. You get Ben Sherratt, who is just a big, strong defenseman on your back end. They need help on the left side. It kind of fills all the boxes they want to fix, and it gives away what they're comfortable trading. So, what do you guys think? I know it's kind of ballsy.
It's madness.
I think it's a bit too little.
That's why I think too. I think it might be a bit, because I'm thinking Sherratt for the first, straight up, and then Kravtsov and maybe a third, maybe a second you have to throw in, because you have 2. You got a second for St. Louis and your own. You can afford to give up one. It would essentially be like trading Buchnevich for you could make the trade with like adding, but like Buchnevich for Drouin and Sammy Blais is what you could look at it a different way. If you added the second with it, that is, right? So, I don't know.
That's just madness, hey? Got that. So, who's the Rangers are giving up Kravtsov?
Kravtsov and a first.
And a first for Drouin and Sherratt.
Yeah. Now, like I said, like Jordan said, that might be too little and might have thrown a second or a third, which maybe you do. Or a prospect, like wherever direction you want to go.
Yeah, maybe you take like a Foley.
Maybe a roster player. Yeah, you could take Toffoli over Drouin. Yep. I thought about that, but I put him on my list, so I didn't want to put him. So I just wanted to be outside the box.
Yeah, no, I like the idea of it, because this team can just go absolutely nuts on this. They could. So
they would probably have to add a tiniest bit of cap in some way in another trade, but
probably the best way to go when it comes to trading Kravtsov instead of making some mediocre 1-for-1 swap or taking a chance on a 1-for-1.
You go for 2 years at the cup, right? With Drouin, or if, like you said, you mentioned Toffoli, and I like throwing Toffoli in instead. But
yeah, just because he's right-handed, I think they can use the extra right-handed guy.
That's totally fair.
Thinking of their team.
That's totally fair to throw in. I just looked at Drouin.
What's the cap like? Can you keep Drouin? You can't keep Drouin, can you?
Well, he's on an extra year. He's got the year. You'd have to throw in other cap to make it work. Like, you'd have to probably trade Georgiev eventually.
No, I think they could. I think the Rangers can Ryan Strome, take all that on.
They could take it, but next year I don't think they can afford Strome. They couldn't afford Strome if they did it.
No, they wouldn't. But
I think Drouin's better than Strome or Toffoli.
Drouin would be on would only have 1 year deal left, so like they could even make a move.
They could. They could move him again if they wanted to.
Yeah, they're literally just in this trade. They're trying to get Drouin they're getting Drouin because draft stuff's not working out. You know.
Yeah. No, there's a lot and there's Nemeth too. You trade Nemeth because $2.5 million is a lot to have. Obviously the goaltender, like I mentioned, Georgiev's making $2.5 million. He's an RFA this year. You could trade his rights and let Kincaid be your backup. He's good enough. Or just get a new backup. Like there's a lot of cap options to make it work and keep the same team for 2 years. It would be a lot of kerfuckling around. Plus, I think a lot of cap not a lot of cap, but 1.5 comes off of dead cap next year, which is nice off of Lundqvist. And then the year after that, they get like another $3 million ish, just over $3 million from Shattenkirk.
And there's two with Tony DeAngelo.
And Tony DeAngelo and Dan Girardi. So it's $3.5 million. So, like in 2 years, they'll have a little bit more cap space to work with, like 4.5 in total if they haven't spent it. So no, I think they can make it work. It was just something interesting to try and throw out. Go all in. Use Kravtsov in an all-in deal to win now. If you really want him gone, get a real legit player, is what my mind went. Or two, in this case.
Oh, yeah, man.
Anyways, that's our kind of trade deadline options board, I guess. I don't know. We'll find a better name for it. Preview. However you want to look at it. We just narrowed down a couple teams. We talked about either next podcast or the following one. We'll decide that later. We're going to do the same thing, but with selling teams and pick 2 teams each that sell and, do the same thing, but the opposite. Pretty self-explanatory. Should we get into some news in the NHL? I'll rifle some stuff off and we can react to it. Let's start in Montreal because I just finished making that big trade, so it's a good segue. They have interviews set up for their new GM position with Danny Briere, Roberto Luongo, and Sean Darche. So those are some options. What are your guys'? I know we've kind of heard those names. You guys have any thoughts on the interviews? Any preferences who you'd like? I know how much you love Luongo, Jordan.
Yeah, I was interested by that. I also heard that the Canucks have their GM spot open too. So
yeah, they're talking
Luongo in a front office business.
I think it's seeming more likely if 2 teams are interviewing him, right? A name I'm leaning in the most. I want Montreal to get Danny Briere. I think Danny Briere should get a shake at a GM job. He is a GM in the East Coast League right now, I believe. And at least he started off in the East Coast. I don't know if he's still there, but he is doing awesome work there and learning the job from the basement and growing, right? So I just like him to get a fair shake. And when you have Jeff Gorton as the president, I think you could teach Briere a lot as Jeff Gorton did. Will.
Yeah, I can fully agree with that. There's one guy. Like, I'm not really too into what's all going on here, but if there's one guy, it's definitely Briere.
I like Luongo. Luongo is interesting, but Briere seems to be the front runner. He was the first name, one of the first names thrown out after the Patrick Waugh stuff, which isn't going to happen, I hope, for Montreal's sake.
Where did Chris Drury go?
Chris Drury is a Rangers GM.
Oh, he replaced
Gordon.
Okay. Yeah. I was trying to think if Briere was part of that mix of random dudes that was with Drury and those guys in that organization for a bit.
No, he wasn't. I don't believe so. I know he was doing work in the East Coast. I would have to look into for next podcast where he is currently.
He'd be the one guy I'd really like to see there.
I'd be intrigued to give him a
try. I don't know.
It just makes sense to go with a new guy when you got Jeff Gorton as your president. You obviously wanted to get a president that knows what he's doing. So you might as well get a young GM, see if you can hit on a gem of a GM, right?
Yeah, and we're in a mixy sort of area, so it's probably...
They need a guy who's francophone. And
it's a good time to bring in a new guy instead of like
plus,
Vancouver. I don't think you bring in a new guy. You need somebody who's they brought in Rutherford for a reason. Like, they need some experience, and they need to make sure they don't screw up the next couple of years here. Like,
they need to, really need to. Yeah, they're in a different situation. Montreal can full blow up and rebuild, and if it doesn't go well, we were supposed to be bad anyways, sort of right? Vancouver's kind of done the rebuild, looking to get good. So, no, I like it. Just a couple names. I'm sure we'll get clarification on the GM before the deadline, I would imagine. I think that's a fair timeline to maybe say who their front runner is, or at least who they're going to sign soon. But do you guys have anything on Montreal before I move off of them?
Nah.
Nope. All right. Let's move on to the Edmonton Oilers. I know we talked about them last week, asking if they are a bad team, and we came out and said no, they are not a bad team. They're just on a cold streak, and shit happens. But then shit hit the fan, and Koskinen and Tippett started talking, and it went downhill. Shall we talk about what Koskinen and Tippett basically said to each other? Dave Tippett came out saying that, basically throwing Mikko Koskinen under the bus, saying if we could get a damn save, not in these exact words, I'm paraphrasing. I
don't know if it was.
He basically he said something saying that they could use a save more here and there. Koskinen kind of fired back a little, saying I can't score goals. Now, this whole thing was kind of blown out of proportion. I will like to start by saying that.
Yeah, because at the start, like from what I noticed with Dave Tippett, it was media time, and he just knew that they were going to ask that question about that terrible goal that he let in or whatever, and went out of his.
He was referencing the goal.
He just said what you wanted to hear.
Yeah,
like we classically hear that, because these guys are so sick. Like, honestly, I'm really starting to think about getting into this media and being those guys that ask those questions, because I'm fucking sick of this shit. Yeah. Like, I don't want to piss this fucking guy off. Like, what are you guys doing? You guys suck at your job if you're like the coaches are coming into the media thing and they're just ready to just blow up. Like, they're frustrated already, you know? Like, this guy's gonna ask this question, and Tippett was just like, yeah, it was a fucking brutal goal, so bad, terrible goal.
Yeah, shit. And like, you're gonna like, you can say that about Vasilevsky.
Say every time somebody makes a mistake is just go out and do a press conference and be like, this guy made just a terrible mistake. Like, fucking no shit, eh? Like, wow. Like,
and
it doesn't help anything. And
I 100% agree.
Said back. Love what Koskinen said back. Like,
and it's also with what Koskinen said, it was translated from Finnish. That's very key. Like, he did say, I can't score goals, obviously, but he also said, like, that, like, it wasn't him just shitting back on Tippett and saying, like, oh, I'm going to only defend myself. Like, he was just saying,
he was just like, man, I'm not doing good. Yeah, like, clearly I need to be better. Like, that's
the team needs to be better too, frankly.
Yeah, like,
exactly. It's not all on the goalie.
I can't score goals.
Yes, like, and that's exactly what I meant.
Like, I have to be better, but I can't score goals. And then Mike Smith scored a goal for him.
Yeah, so it was just I saw that all over Twitter, like, oh, but the other goalie can. It's like that's such a like.
Somebody tweet that where it was like Mikko Koskinen, I can't score, and then it's like Mike Smith, and it's just like a video.
I score. Yeah, I saw that. I got a really good chuckle of it because it's funny. It is funny, but like that is such a troll thing to do on a guy who's just not having a good time right now. Like, oh fuck.
Yeah, no shit.
And it's so out of context, just throwing that in there in a way. Like, one goalie out of how many goalies in history scored, and he happens to be the other goalie. Like, okay. It was kind of blown out of proportion. Do Edmonton need a goalie? Have we talked about this too much? Yes. But chill. A lot of people are in protocol. They didn't have McDavid last game. And I'm having a tough time with Edmonton in finding a way to put some ownership on Leon and Connor without shitting on them. Because I don't want to say they've been bad, because they haven't been. They've been fantastic.
Like they gotta figure out
They
how to
make
show up
mistakes
when those guys don't show
lot.
up. Like that's the thing. Like
yeah,
they got like 2
offensively.
points per game for the first like 20 games, guys. That's what they did. They got 2 points per game for the first 20 games, and now they're not doing that. They're getting a point every second game. Like Nuge, Ryan McLeod, anybody else. That is, you have to play hockey. That's your time to play hockey. You guys did not step up this whole time, last 10 games. That's why you guys are 2-8-1 or something dumb like that, or 2-8-2.
Yeah,
like,
offensively, the other team needs to pick up the slack. However, the amount of times I've seen Leon and McDavid strip from the puck in their own end in the corner is too much for your top centers in a way. I don't want to sit here and be like, they're terrible defensively and that's why they suck. Like, don't misconstrue what I'm saying and radio me here, but that needs to get tighter. They need to get tighter defensively a little bit. They cheat a little too much at times. And they get a lot of points for it, and that's awesome. And like that's how you're gonna win. I understand that. But if you do want to win, I think this is what Torts was trying to say. Like a little more help defensively. He goes the extreme with it. I just want them to be stronger on their stick in their own corner sometimes. Or not get ragdolled in the corner when they don't look shoulder check. Like it's just small stuff like that I'd like to see. Because it's the same.
Seems slightly disinterested in the defense as well,
a little bit. And it's just, we shit on the same thing over and over with Edmonton. I understand what McDavid and Draisaitl have done for them is carry them to where they go, but it could help if they focus more on the defensive end. Crosby could score 140 points in his prime too, but he didn't because he prioritized defense because you have to
just be a little more sound.
Just a little more, like turn the defensive like effort up a little bit from everyone. You will see changes so fast.
See, like, is that what happened? Like they started losing guys and then they changed the system to like, hey, we got to be a little bit more defensive, and that was the wrong move, and they just didn't score after that. Is that what's been going on?
It could be part of it.
Not great decision after not great decision, and not great play after not great play. And
I think it's a mixture of a lot of things. I think that they stopped scoring, so they panicked and they overcommitted to offense, and then their defense takes a hit, and they wonder why our goalie sucks. Well, your goalie isn't a playoff winning number one goalie to start with, so you can't expect that from him. Two, when you're not scoring and then you leave him out to dry because you're trying too hard to score, you're going to struggle to win.
When you're scoring one goal on the other team and yourself.
Yeah, this isn't like...
And then he lets in a goal, you lost the game.
Not to completely like shit on another sport, but this isn't basketball, and you can't win with one guy in a game here and there. Like McDavid can win. Like
you can't.
Jordan, you're more the basketball guy here. Can you list a couple teams that are carried by one guy and actually get to playoffs? There's a couple, isn't there? For the most part, carried.
LeBron James.
Yeah, that's exactly it. LeBron, how many championships has he won because he was there? Strictly him there.
I mean, he at least
half. Half of his right. Like hockey isn't that.
He carried the Heat.
He carried the Heat one of the years, the last year. Yeah, like he carried LA recently. Like it's just
Gilbert Arenas carrying the Washington Wizards.
Yeah, like there's
going like 10, 20 years back. Like
there's just a couple. There's a couple teams where like it's not as much as a team game there. Hockey is way different. McDavid doesn't play 60 minutes.
James Harden is who you're thinking about. James Harden is who you're thinking about because he was like the Rockets forever, and he had like no one else. He had like 9 million points all the time.
He outscored he outscored their way out, even though he's the worst defender.
Yeah, he had like double the amount of points of everyone else. Damian Lillard, I think, is another one that
that's true. He has been carried that. But they've kind of like worked a system around that, so it's a little. But it's just but that's just the point I'm trying to make. Like McDavid and Draisaitl,
big difference.
One player makes a big difference in basketball. It doesn't in hockey. The most minutes McDavid plays and should be playing is 25-ish, right? That's even a lot.
That's a lot, exactly. Like
for a center.
23.
It should be, if
somebody that's good.
Ideally, you want your number one center to play 20 to 22 minutes, like Chase said. Maybe 23 upwards if you need if you don't have the depth. But
extra
like
power play time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to adjust the way it does. You can't play
playing more minutes in the OT than there is minutes in the OT.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Like that's just what they need to realize. I think that it's not just them. They need to all chip in defensively and play as a team, and you'll see the wins come back. The goals will come. They always do for talented players. Always. And when you have two of the best players, if not the two best players in the NHL, they'll come sooner than later. So I think
definitely
you need to...
disappointed in the depth here. Yeah. Very disappointed. Through this stretch, that's sad that you guys are just like, this is why another reason why like these guys aren't at a Stanley Cup point yet, because like you get injuries, you get some guys out, and like you just got nothing. Like you got absolutely nothing. Hey, like this was a terrible trend. So yeah, your depth needs to, like I said, they need to step up when these guys aren't doing their 2 points per game thing. Like step up, create your own shit, you know, get your own thing going. You know, it's got to happen. You got to, I think it's like we said, it's been up, down, left, right. They tried to go left, and then they went right, and then they tried to go down.
It'll sort itself out. You gotta simplify the game, and as like what's the word I'm looking for? It's not naive to say stereotypical. There we go. Boy, I'm losing it today. As stereotypical it is to say, it'll like play safe, play simple, get pucks deep, all that bullshit that they always say in interviews. It's true. There's a reason they're stereotypical hockey answers, because if you do all those little things proper, you win the game. If you focus, like, unless bounces don't go your way. You're in the game. Yeah, you are for sure in it to the end. Sometimes bounces don't go your way.
Last game, so that was nice.
Yeah, they played really good against the Leafs yesterday. I will defend them there. They didn't have McDavid either. Like, so I think they played very good. Evan Bouchard is very good. I really like him.
He's playing a little bit better than I think the guy thought he was going to. Hey, like,
he is.
I thought it'd be a little bit sketchier, but he's not. He's pretty good, man.
I like him.
23 minutes that game. Holy shit,
he plays a lot of minutes. They don't have did they have Darnell Nurse last night? I think they did.
Yeah.
Okay, I think it was the game before they were missing. Yeah, that's what I thought. I was switching between that and the Pens game, so I was mainly focusing on the Pens game. But no, it's
with your rock hard wiener, or what?
Yeah, on God, like dead ass, dead serious. Like I was so happy. I was grinning ear to ear when Crosby scored that goal. Like middle fingers up to the Blues, just sitting there like yes. I was so happy. Anytime Pittsburgh's winning, it always puts a smile on my face. But no, with Edmonton, there's a lot of stuff to like here. Time will come. I think they just need to be patient, play smart. So,
I do believe they need that D, man. They should definitely.
They do.
Not like a big move. I don't think it needs to be a big move unless you want to really go all out for a Chychrun right now or in the off season. But I think this year before the deadline,
they already came out and said they don't want to pay for Chychrun.
Exactly, like
which I agree. If I'm being if we're done on Edmonton, I'm going to use that perfect segue into Chychrun, as the Coyotes have came out and commented on Chychrun that they've been getting lots of calls from him, unsurprisingly, right. Now, do you know what they ask for, though?
Oh, yeah.
Eichel size haul is their words. They want an Eichel size trade for Chychrun. I don't disagree with them. I think they should ask that and maybe more than what Eichel got.
Especially because the fact that like
what D-man
Eichel was supposed to get or what the value was.
Yeah, like
what was happening.
Anaheim
so, like,
asked
the actual trade that happened with Eichel. Like, it's actually
it was pretty underwhelming.
Haul.
If they could get more than that, I think it's a good thing for Arizona as well. I think it's a fair trade if you get what Eichel got. If you take carbon copy of what they gave to Eichel and gave it to Arizona for Chychrun, I don't think it's that bad. Genuinely.
I think it's too much. I would not want Krebs in there. I'd give you a touch in that first round pick.
You'd have to give up.
I'd be able to do Krebs, man.
Yeah, maybe not Krebs, but it would be the prospect right below him.
Maybe a random.
No, not a random. It would be below, I think, like tier 2. Like if Krebs is tier 1, let's say, you're taking a tier 2 prospect after that from a deal. So it is
getting a phone call here, guys, so I might have to jump a little bit early this podcast.
Okay, it sounds good.
Okay.
We're gonna close out soon anyways, but we'll catch you later, Jordan.
Alrighty, peace, guys.
Peace.
But yeah, just on Chychrun to close out quick, I think that's too good of a contract for a top 4 number 1 potential D-man, 23 years old. They're so hard to come by. So hard to come by.
It's just
I know it hurts. I know it hurts to bite the bullet on someone like that, and you're gonna look at that for a year, 2, 3 years and be like, was it worth it? But I think in the end you're gonna be like, yes, we got how many years out of Chychrun being a top pair guy for us and we're a playoff team. If that's what you get, then I think you win the trade.
Yeah, no doubt.
Right? So, moving on to, I just got 2 more things to bring up. So if you want to add on, feel free. Tuukka Rask signs a PTO with the AHL Providence Bruins. Basically, it's just the formality to signing a contract in the middle of the season. He's going to be a Bruin soon, and I think we saw this coming. Like more and more as the Bruin season was kind of dwindling away a little bit. Like I know they're still in the hunt, still in the playoffs, but like it's close. They go on a bad run of games. It's not looking good. It seemed more likely that this would happen. No.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. No, this was bound to happen at some point. We all knew it was going to happen. He was practicing with the team and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just to add to the Boston sort of random free agent signings and bring up Krejci, I do hear there is a guy that really likes the idea and still believes that Krejci is possibly coming back. So
maybe
cool.
if his family,
it's cool that somebody thinks that this is actually still a possibility, because I've heard very little amount of people talk about this. So
yeah, I don't necessarily side with that. I know where he's coming from, but the reason it wasn't like Krejci's leaving. Like it wasn't like this reason. It was family reason, and until that's resolved, and he wanted to teach his kids, and his kids grew up where he did because they don't know Czech. So that's what he wants, right? Maybe the time comes, he makes a 1-year deal, comes back, and goes for a playoff run. I don't know if he wants to do that, though. I genuinely don't. He seems he seems very content to just be with his family in Czech Republic.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, no, I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That actually has hope for him coming back. So that's
interesting.
Pretty sweet.
It's interesting, and it's something to keep an eye on for sure. Like if this starts sparking up more, we'll be the first to tell you.
Yeah.
We're all over it.
I'm not sure. Like, how does this work with their goaltending? Like,
Swayman can go down.
Swayman,
Swayman is
waiver eligible.
Not
That's
waiver
why
eligible.
They traded Vladar.
Yeah, Vladar wasn't waiver eligible, or else they would have kept all 3. So, no, it'll work. It'll all work. And know what Rask can do? We don't know the contract. He could sign a 2-way deal if necessary.
Yeah, and it could be $750K, and they could still trade for like actual players and stuff. So
and that's what's going to probably happen. I think it's $750K. He's going to take the cheap deal and try and help this team win. He doesn't need money. He's been paid very well his career.
Yeah, I've heard Allmark's name thrown around a bit. I wonder if that is the direction they go. Would that be hard to do that?
I don't know if you do that.
I'd almost trade Swayman before, just because, like, how long is Rask going to stick around? Is this it?
I honestly don't.
After this year, or like,
why are you trading a goalie? Is my question. Like, why are people talking about trading goalies? Is my question. That's the position that they need help in. You don't give up on those positions.
Well, it's the position in question for the next few years. So, like, you keep
for sure.
You can, like, I fully agree. But
Swayman is a young guy who looks like he is primed to take it at some point. I think Swayman is primed to be a starting goalie at some point. I don't know if it's next year, if it's in 4 years. You can't bank on it. But because you have Allmark, I think you can with that tandem. Allmark is struggling, but he played good in Buffalo.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a good hockey player. He's just not gelled yet. He's a great goalie.
He's been playing pretty good recently. So, yeah, it's starting to go a little bit. But, yeah, it's just weird.
Sometimes you don't gel with your team right away.
was Rask doing this for like the 1 year, or like is he actually trying to figure out if he can keep playing for another couple of years? Like,
I think this year will be a test to that.
He's the wrench in the system that might, like, is he going to create a bad situation for Boston, or is Boston going to be smart enough to just say, well, we'll sign you
if they let Chara walk. They let Chara walk. I think if Boston's having a very good season and battling for top 3 in the Atlantic this year, I don't think they sign Rask because they have no need for Rask. I think they have need for him this year. And and this is also, like I said, I think it's gonna be a test for Rask to see if he's healthy enough to be an NHL player still. And if Boston doesn't sign him, he still wants to be an NHL player. A lot of other teams would gladly take a Rask. I would love Rask as a backup goalie for Pittsburgh. That would be the best scenario. Like, there's tons of options. I think it's a wait and see how they do this year. If they blow up the team, they still want to be competitive. Right? But I don't give up on either of those goalies they currently have. There's too much upside in both
right now. And you just
just
assume that Rask ain't sticking around.
Like,
I think that's the idea you go with.
I think that's the best bet. So we'll see.
Like I said, from when they signed Allmark, like they're gonna trade this guy at some point. It's
Allmark, at some point.
Yeah, they just need somebody right
now. They're just
for
waiting for Swayman.
Foreseeable.
Yeah, exactly. Like if Swayman, like I said, he could be an NHL goalie next year, starting goalie, or he could be an NHL starting goalie in 5 years. Like, there's no timeline. Like, I mean, realistically, there's a chance he doesn't become one at all. I think he's good enough to become one for sure at some point. It's just when. So, and that's what we ask about the Bruins a lot lately, is when. So, that's all the NHL news I got for you. I got a little Olympic news if you're interested before I close this podcast off.
Sure. Do you want to do that future watch thing?
Let's save it for next podcast, just so Jordan can be in it too. Okay.
I'll hit you with a past watch, because technically you're going to be listening to this if after these games are all done. But the games today, holy shit, man! Minnesota, Boston playing today, Flames and Lightning playing today. Penguins, I guess Flyers ain't much, but Panthers and Stars, Jets and Avalanche. Like, oh boy,
some
Rangers
big games
Knights.
Tonight.
Holy shit, Wings Ducks.
There's some big games tonight. Exciting day of hockey. I'm so
January
pumped.
6th.
Yeah, best part is tonight is I got the house to myself tonight, so all I'm gonna be doing is watching some pucks. So it's great. I'm so pumped for it. Cannot wait for tonight's games. We'll talk I will definitely be talking about the Penguins game at least next podcast. So, but to close out the podcast with some final bit of news, some light at the end of the tunnel, I guess you can say, for Team Canada at the Olympics, as they have finally announced one player to the team. Owen Power is going to represent Team Canada at the Olympics.
Have you noticed that, like, I don't know if he does it on purpose, but it seems like it. Does he always have his hair just flying in his eyes all the time?
Seems like it.
Does he do that on purpose?
I don't know. Maybe to give himself a disadvantage because he's better than everyone.
It's like, I don't really want to see it. He's like, left eye.
I'm better if I sense the puck rather than seeing it. My touch is so good that I don't need vision.
Just always dangling.
Yeah, I know. Hey, man, he's got a nice set of lettuce there. His hair is fucking.
Love that bucket of lettuce.
I love it. I'm so happy. But yeah, he's gonna represent Team Canada at the Olympics, and I'm hearing there's some other World Junior guys. Specifically, Mason McTavish might be going as well, which I didn't know was possible because he's played in NHL games. So I didn't think that was allowed. So
it's the AHL. They're trying to figure out the AHL right now. They're trying to figure out if they're going to let those guys go. So
I don't see why not. I mean, you might as well let some good players.
It's so dumb that this is happening the way it is.
Yeah, I know. I agree. Hopefully, we'll get a World Cup of hockey this year or next year or something.
I started to understand why the NHL is not going a lot.
I understand it. I just don't like it. It's that simple, right?
If I counted correctly, there are 73 games in total postponed.
Wow.
And as of January 4th.
Now, also
there's like
another
13 games that are postponed in the next little bit. Like, a lot of them were probably rescheduled and hope to play or something like that, but like, Jesus.
It also doesn't help with why a lot were rescheduled for a lot of dumb fucking reasons. Like, Canada games are strictly rescheduled just because we're locking down and they'll lose money. Like, I know they're going to lose a lot of money, and I understand it's a business. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, I don't care, just play the games. Like, who gives a fuck about money? And don't need money.
Because I don't like that at all. Real quick, I'm so mad that people want to push through this and just have half of the team missing every game. Like, why is that there?
No, everything needs to change, but that's a whole different podcast, and if we start that, we're not going to stop. So it's a good idea, probably just close it out now, hey?
I just wanted to say that because it's weird. Like, why do we want everybody to get COVID and just keep it fucking like I'm sick of missing one player at least. Two players.
That's pissing me off. That's pissing me off. This protocol stuff.
The last 2-3 weeks I didn't need to watch because what does it matter? Half the fucking team wasn't playing.
The fact that McDavid wasn't...
I'm just watching these games to see if this certain player is doing good and stuff like that. Like, you're seeing certain guys and how they're playing, and like that's all you get out of these games.
Yeah, the fact that McDavid wasn't playing last night is a failure of the NHL, and it wasn't because of injury, is a failure from the NHL standpoint. Like, there's no which ways about it. You have to figure out a better system for this, where nobody's missing, and you can still do things safely. You got to come up with a new game plan. You have to. Teams,
and you got to force the players.
Teams,
like, if the players are the ones that don't want this stuff to happen and have it like that or whatever, but like, just make it happen because like
they need to loosen up protocols.
If the players are pushing it to push through, then like this ain't working, boys, because we're missing somebody every game, and it's
they need to loosen up some protocols. They're being way too sharp on certain ones. Like, I'm not saying like just forget everything ever happens, but they need to adjust it to what works now. And that's just the reality of it. If you want to make money still as the NHL does, and you want the season to go on, you have to change those or else it's not going to work. Or you're going to have a fucked up season where Edmonton misses the playoffs because McDavid wasn't allowed to play in 25 games because of protocol, right? That's not okay. So, but anyways, sorry to end off on kind of a sour note. Hopefully things get better. Hope you guys had a good week. Go follow us on our social medias.
Dude, I gotta give you something else. We're too negative at the end, buddy.
Okay, give me a positive thing.
I saw that Zuccarello. So they have like a Zuccarello All-Star game or something in St. Petersburg, SKA or whatever.
Okay, yeah.
Former like buddy or player that he played with, Patrick Thorson, he did like a Matt Zuccarello parody. I don't know if you've seen this. I want to say you showed me, or I heard about this from somebody. But okay, so he goes onto the ice. I shared it on Twitter, so check it out at the Coach on Ice. Patrick Thorson puts on like a wig. He's got super long hair coming out the bucket, and he like taped like two sticks together. He like cut a stick down and taped it to the other one and shoved it in. So he just got like a retardedly massive stick. Like, it's just dumb fucking long. And he just goes out there and plays for like 10 minutes, takes the face off, and he's just ripping around, poking at guys with the stick's like probably like 7-8 feet long. Like, man.
That's hilarious.
The funniest shit, man. Like, the funniest shit. Like,
I'm looking through it
from just somebody who posted a picture of Matt Zuccarello meeting Forsberg when he was mini, and it's just super hilarious.
That's funny. That's awesome.
Some guy comments, he's like, "No, nothing beats the Zuccarello content." And holy shit, you gotta watch that video. It's unreal. Got that 8-foot long stick. Like, going into the corners is the best. He's just so far away.
I'll check it out. I'll make sure to retweet it again on our Twitter. So go check it out if you check out the Zuccarello parody as I will too. That's so funny. We'll all check it out. So, but anyways, let's close out this podcast. Go follow us on social medias, the aforementioned Twitter, Instagram at the Couch on Ice. Follow our YouTube page. We're gonna have videos coming at some point. Just trying to get settled in the new year. But for now, we'll catch you next week's podcast. Have a good one, guys.
Peace.